John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas. This is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
For all you who complain about Thursday night football, wasn't it nice yesterday? Eagles get the win Thursday night. We get to watch the rest of the slate of the NFL on Sunday, put our feet up. Some things went our way, some things didn't, but it was beautiful. There's also only two teams in the NFC. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
We're talking NFC Championship game now, right? Like, there's no other discussion. If
Nothing
you're
less.
not having that conversation, there's just something that's completely scaring you.
You're in a beautiful platform for where you're at. A great night at the stadium. It is a great day to be awake.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Monday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, happy new week.
Yeah, new week. It's Rams week. Doesn't hold the same energy coming off a Monday morning is usually our 3-foot putt.
Yeah.
It's the easiest day of the week.
I'll be honest, I didn't mind my Friday being a 3-foot putt, if I'm being honest with you. I got to skate into the weekend, man.
It wasn't bad either. It was fun yesterday. It was fun to watch the rest of the NFL battle and to know wins in the book, and then you make the statement.
Well, so it's interesting. Perfect timing for our, new open. We put together a new open every single week. Connor and Mike Vito and Matt Menark. Every single week we have a little new open, and that was from Friday's conversation about how, so we're talking NFC Championship game now, right? That was our topic from Friday. And I still don't know how anyone would say no to that. The conversation was not, it's a lock to get to the NFC Championship game. The conversation was just, hey, we're talking about them going to the NFC title game now, right? And if not, what's holding them back? 6-1-0, right? Did the whole show. John, there's really only two teams in the NFC.
It's the way it looks. I look at it as you're looking at it that way. There's two teams left. I looked at it yesterday at dinner, and I said to Christina, I said, the Eagles are going to have two home playoff games.
Yes.
Whether they're going to have two home playoff games to make it to the Super Bowl or two home playoff games and then one more game to navigate to get to the Super Bowl, I don't know what that equation
game, of course,
is.
would be in Detroit.
I don't know what that equation is. That's the only place it would be. If not, it would be three home playoff games. So there's going to be football in South Philly. I think it's pretty much known. But I still look at the NFC and just say, how can it be this lopsided?
Yeah,
it's lopsided.
It is lopsided. Look, the Lions are 9-1, and we'll get into them in a few minutes. They absolutely destroyed the Jags yesterday. Dougie P's probably going to be walking into a firing today. I would not be surprised if come the end of the show today at 10 a.m., we get an alert that Doug Peterson has been fired by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I would not be surprised by that.
That effort yesterday was a give up.
That was bad.
But you saw what Detroit did when they had them on the ropes. They put them out of their misery.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Lions are 9-1. The Eagles are 8-2. They're not the only 8-2 team in the NFC. The Vikings are also 8-2. Forgive me, I'm still not a believer in the Minnesota Vikings. That defense is pretty good, but I'm not going to.
I'll play them any day of the week.
It's freaking Sam Darnold, man.
Any place.
Sam Darnold. I know they have great weapons in Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, but it's
any place, anytime.
It's Sam Darnold, man. Exactly. Like, come on, bring it. Minnesota.
Any place, anytime.
We'll recreate the 2017 NFC Championship game. I don't care.
I'm hoping that the Vikings end up being one of the teams that falls into the plate that you'd face.
Yeah.
That you get to play in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're not a team
I would
that you
love
really
to see the Eagles play the Vikings.
Packers, they beat the Bears yesterday, improving to 7-3. Still a team to keep an eye on, but you beat them earlier in the year when you were not playing your best football, and the Eagles obviously have changed their identity. The Commanders are 7-4. You just beat them, and look, their record is kind of what the Eagles' record was before that game. They had beaten the teams they're supposed to beat and had not beaten the teams that were better than them. And that's what a lot of people were still holding on to when it came to the Commanders. Let me see them have a legitimate win against a legitimate opponent. And they did that earlier in the year against Cincinnati, but we've seen Cincinnati lose. They're now 4-7.
All they do is lose.
The Cardinals are 6-4 on top of the NFC West. I'm not afraid of the Cardinals. I'm not afraid of the Falcons, who lost again yesterday to the point where Kirk Cousins was put on the bench because they were getting destroyed. They're 6-5. It's really a two-team race. It is the Detroit Lions. It is the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, you should show some respect to some of the other teams, but they're in the tier below the Eagles. But I will say this in the same breath, John.
Is it going to be bold? What you're going to say?
The Lions are on their own tier. They're steps ahead of the Eagles.
I agree with you. I'm not 100%, but absolutely agree with you.
Can anything happen in a one-week playoff? Absolutely. I'm not saying
there's no question.
I'm not saying at 6:05 this morning that there's no shot the Eagles get to the Super Bowl. But what I'm telling you at 6:05 this morning on November the 18th, the Detroit Lions are on their own class. You know how we do the Patrick Mahomes thing? We say he's on his own thing. Stop comparing him to Patrick Mahomes. The Detroit Lions are on tier 1. The Eagles are on tier 2.
Okay.
The other teams we mentioned are on tier 3.
Okay, and I agree with you. Question is, if you're going to make a statement like that, tell me why. Because I bet you and I and Connor, and I don't even know if Connor agrees with that, could all have different answers as to why. Why are the Lions, do you believe, are still on a different tier than the Eagles?
Because they've been impressive all season long. They have one loss against you actually asked me this morning. It was actually it was amazing. Do you know who the Lions lost to this year?
Somebody
exactly
who stinks, maybe? Did they have a bad loss? I don't know.
Yeah, they lost at home. And it was a playoff rematch last year to Tampa Bay.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But I forgot, too, because that was week 2. That was a long time ago. But other than that, the Lions have been impressive in every single game, except for the game against the Texans, where Jared Goff threw 5 picks, and they still won. Like, they had a game where their quarterback threw 5 interceptions, and they still won the football game because their defense is spectacular, and it works perfectly with the ground game. And you saw yesterday a team that the Eagles barely beat in the Jacksonville Jaguars, where the head coach did everything in his power to try to allow the Jags to come back in that game. They beat them 52-6. So following a bad performance, they bounced back with a beatdown.
Now, if the Eagles were up 3 scores at halftime, who knows how that game goes. I look at it as this way. The Lions, to me, look like their consistency is something that the Eagles have just not matched.
Yeah.
And to me, when I see that, would you say comparable talent?
Yeah, I would say comparable talent, yes.
The two teams?
I think the Eagles have a better wide receiving core, right?
Well,
with
I think
Devontae and AJ.
Yeah, I think there's comparable talent between the two teams.
The lines are very similar, offensive lines on both teams.
They both love to run.
Better running back is here. Better committee's there, but better running back is here.
Better committee is there. Yeah. Better running back is here. They love to run the ball, though. I put it to the head coach. Dan Campbell does a much better job of having his team consistently ready to play on a weekly basis than Nick Sirianni did.
He's done that so far this season.
Yes.
So it's really coming down to the head coaches.
Whoa. He did it last year, too.
That's true, yeah.
Did it last year, too. It's like a turn corner. I was one of the people who, when Dan Campbell got hired, I was absolutely one of the people going, does he think this is WWE?
Oh, I thought it was such a joke. The biting kneecaps.
And the thing is, though, is I thought he was a good football guy. Like, I really did. But the whole, just his presentation to me was a clown show. He's been anything but as a head coach. He has done an amazing job with a franchise where everybody says nobody can win there. For years, I've heard it. Well, you can't win with the Lions.
Right.
They don't win. Yeah, you can. You get an adult in charge who does a great job, and you get a front office who supplies them with talent. They've done a beautiful job. It points to me to the head coaches that he's done a great job having his team ready to play week after week. There's been consistency.
So our first topic today is an NFL-related topic, which, of course, includes the Eagles. I believe, and John, you're in agreement. We'll get Connor's thoughts here in a second. We both believe that there's 2 teams in the NFC. It's the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's great, right? If we're talking...
Now, that's today, too. You pointed that out. by January 1st, we may feel differently.
Yeah, it could change. There could be more teams.
Packers may turn it on and start looking great.
But as of mid-November, it's a two-team race. It's the Detroit Lions and it's the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm not talking about for the 1 seed. I'm talking about NFC title game. What's the date again, Johnny? Because you've been telling us about it.
You got to time. Make sure you don't have anything to do.
Yeah, I got to.
That'll be January the 26th.
I got to block out that week in my calendar.
You're not going to any wineries.
No destinations that weekend.
None of that.
So it's a two-team race for the NFC title game right now between the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles. Would love to hear your thoughts on that at 610-632-0975 because we all had the chance to watch a weekend slate of the NFL. And we'll break it all down coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. But you also, I know that honeydew list is kind of done. It's too cold outside. You're not doing any pumpkin patches. So we all watched football yesterday. You all got to see the different teams in the NFC. You got to compare them to the Philadelphia Eagles. And I believe after watching another slate of NFL football where the Eagles did not play, I did not have any major distractions, I take away Eagles, Lions, the only two teams in the NFC. However, I also believe the Lions are in their own tier and the Eagles are in their own tier of their own, but down below.
Do you think most people agree with this?
I don't know.
Because we didn't discuss that beforehand. I would think that most people will disagree with it.
Probably because it's a slight toward the Eagles saying that the Lions are in a tier of their own.
But are we okay? Do we put the Eagles on a second tier of their own?
Of their own, yes.
Okay,
so there it is. Lions tier 1, Eagles tier 2.
I don't think it's a slight to the Eagles then.
No, it shouldn't be. But there's going to be somebody that's going, come on, you're waking up and start the week with negative.
No, it's not. I think it's all right.
Connor, where are you at when you hear me say, and John in agreement, there are two teams in the NFC as of November 18th, 2024. However, the Lions are in their own tier. Eagles are in their own tier, but the Lions are in tier 1. Eagles tier 2. All those other teams are 3 and below.
Yeah, I actually have all of the 16 NFC teams on their own individual tiers based on how many games they've won. So that's how I'm going. No, you're absolutely right. The Lions are the top team, and there's not a big gap between them and the Eagles, but there's a noticeable gap when you see those teams play. We've been begging the Eagles, right? Think back about a month. We were begging the Eagles to win a game by more than 2 scores.
Yes.
Or by 2 scores or more, I should say.
Yeah, begging. Literally begging.
The Lions are beating teams by 40.
52-6 yesterday. 26-23 with the win against the Texans, but that was 5 interceptions thrown by Jared Goff. They still won. On the road in Green Bay, a 10-point victory. 52-14 against the Titans. On the road in Minnesota, they win by 2, but Minnesota 8-2. On the road in Dallas, 47-9.
Right.
Home against the Seahawks, 42-29. 7-point win against the Cardinals. The loss to the Tampa Bay, and then we're back to week 1 where they beat the Rams in overtime.
Now, head-to-head matchup is a totally different thing, but unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of seeing the Eagles and Lions match up in the regular season. So we have to give the nod to Detroit based on the margin of victory, and also the fact they were in the NFC Championship game last year. They didn't have the collapse. They seem to have been pretty much drama-free. That doesn't mean that the Eagles can't beat them. It doesn't mean that the Eagles aren't as talented on paper. And I think they're pretty darn close talent-wise. But as far as performance, it's Detroit 1, it's Philly 2, and it's a sizable gap to everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty fair. So we'd love to hear from you. 610-632-0975. You had your chance to watch the NFL over the weekend. Your biggest takeaways when it comes to the NFC, when it comes to the Eagles and their journey, their trip, the road to the NFC title game, and if not beyond, I believe there's 2 teams, Lions, Eagles. However, I still believe the Lions are in a class of their own. Another thing that we're going to get into, Johnny, the Sixers did not win again this weekend. They are now 2-10 on the season. Cavs are 15-0, by the way, which is wild. So Keith Pompey.
So we can take the top 1 and 2 seeds off the table. Correct?
Yes, yeah, I would say those aren't going to be.
Because I kept remember these October and November games don't matter.
Yeah, I don't think that's
as people tell us. Yes, they don't matter.
You're just a couple games back in the Magic or the 3 seed. By the way.
Yeah, sure we are.
So Keith Pompey.
No.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, exactly. I love
Keith Pompey yesterday put out a tweet and it linked to an article. I'm going to read you the tweet and then the header of the article verbatim. Great franchises aren't always good. And the 76ers are struggling because of, pick any or all, their medical report, increased ages, scoring droughts, lack of continuity, and shockingly lackluster execution. With Friday's 98-86 loss to the Orlando Magic at the Kia Center, They have an NBA second worst record of 2-10. The Sixers are ranked last in the league in scoring, rebounding, assists, and field goal percentage. Now here's the header. After a rough start, it's okay to ask, are the Sixers banged up or just bad?
Well, it's, at least we know we get Embiid back tonight. And, wait a minute. He may have an illness.
Yeah.
I swear to you.
He's questionable, John.
I swear to you.
Questionable. You know when you
they honestly, they might as well set up the face painting and the red noses because this is a joke. It's a freaking joke. An illness now?
Well, remember when
Now we got an illness? I hope you all, I swear to you, I hope every last one of you that said, I'm so glad he played in the Olympics. I'm so happy for him. I hope you watch the damn Olympics on loop. I hope you sit there this entire season and watch the Olympics on loop and go, boy, I'm so glad that our star player didn't rehab an injury, didn't take off, didn't keep the main thing,
Oh, nice.
and went and played in the Olympics.
Johnny Hurts.
I swear to you, it's so freaking annoying. I can't even formulate a sentence without being pissed off.
Yeah, and here's the problem with the Magic game the other night. He's 5-15 from the field, 0-5 from 3. He doesn't have his legs.
It's terrible.
And
it looks terrible.
And this goes back to the warning that we first gave you.
So how many games are we supposed to do with the he needs some time to get his legs under him.
That was his
cardio needs to be for whatever reason.
That was the warning that when he came back, they weren't going to all of a sudden start winning basketball games. He's now back in 2 games. They are 0-2 in those games.
How about he takes it to the hoop?
Yeah.
How about taking it to the hoop?
Be nice.
What is it from the Pompey piece? I think he's like his average. I think I saw Ray Dunn was having a great interview yesterday. His average like 18 feet away from the basket where he's taking scoring attempts.
Well, that's
what the hell?
That's kind of nothing new.
12 is. No.
Oh, 12 is?
No, 12
okay.
is his average of his career. 18. I mean, this is such a joke. Yeah. And now the defenders, I just leave the floor to the defenders.
Well, so for the defenders out there, and look.
And what are you standing on
exactly.
if you're a defender of this?
You know that
What are you standing on?
I am one of the biggest supporters of Joel Embiid, and I ride with this Sixers team to death. I'm going down the Titanic, right? But I'm not going to come in here today and try to argue any sort of fact that the Sixers aren't in trouble right now. They're in trouble. They're 2-10. And I know that people are going to say, well, as long as they get into the playoffs. Yes. I've lived this team day in, day out for my entire life, but post-process specifically, this team has had the same excuses every single year. It's either Joel Embiid's not healthy, which is a legitimate excuse, or the one that freaking I hate. Well, they didn't have enough time to play with one another because it was either in-season trades, it was guys holding out, or it was Joel Embiid's hurt in the middle of the season, and they didn't have enough time to gel come playoff time. And there are a lot of people, John, that were okay with this idea of, hey, take it easy, just get to the playoffs.
Yes.
Seeding doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
If Joel Embiid only ends up playing 35 to 40 games this year, then your first excuse if they lose in the first or second round of the playoffs will be that they didn't have enough time to gel. And that's why Keith Pompey mentions the continuity, which I will say this, John, I still believe is one of the biggest reasons why they are struggling even with Joel Embiid back, because they haven't had a chance to play with one another. But that's not an excuse. It's like they did this to themselves. This Joel Embiid ramp-up period, they did this to themselves.
No.
And he did it because of his playing in the
Joel
Olympics.
Embiid did it to them.
Yes.
Stop saying that.
You're right.
Stop saying the Sixers did it to themselves. Joel Embiid did it to them. Joel Embiid did it with the summer of selfish. Joel Embiid did it with the summer of me. He did the summer of George. He did it to them. Nick Nurse didn't do this. Daryl Morey didn't do this. The Sixers organization couldn't keep him from playing in the Olympics. When he could have been rehabbing.
Yes.
When he could have been resting. When he could have been getting himself in cardio shape. For God's sakes, we're still talking about that. He he could have done this. He did this. And you know what he did? He did this to all his teammates, too. And he did this to all the season ticket holders, too. He did this to this fan base. That's what he did. And if I'm the only one who's going to say it, I'll say it.
Well,
it was damn selfish.
It was. I didn't want him to do it.
I know you didn't. But it's like, it's now, well, come on, it'll be okay. No, it's not going to be okay.
Because that's the problem, because people are going to say
it's not going to be okay.
They'll start winning games, and they might start winning games. I expect them to still be in the playoffs, but at what seed? And I don't believe they're a cultured organization like the Miami Heat were when they were the 8th seed and made the run to the finals. The Sixers don't have that.
A week ago, you guys asked, what was the Sixers ceiling? And you guys said championship, and I laughed at you. I will continue to laugh at you.
All right.
It's not.
So our questions today, Eagles, Lions. Do you agree that there are only 2 teams in the NFC? And I also say that the Lions are steps ahead of the Eagles. And the Keith Pompey article, we're stealing his question today. Are the Sixers banged up or bad? 610-632-0975. Coming up next, audio from the Eagles game Thursday night that we didn't play Friday. A lot of Eagles fans are not happy with one Ryan Fitzpatrick. Hear from the former journeyman next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
7:30 on this Monday morning here on 97.5 The Fanatic. It is a football Monday, even though the Eagles played on Thursday.
It is.
Football Mondays on The Fanatic, presented to you by Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com. So are the Eagles and Lions the only two true teams in the NFC right now? And we're talking big picture, which is the NFC title game. And how do you feel when John and I both say, and Connor's in agreement as well, that the Lions are in a tier of their own, and then the Eagles are in a tier of their own, just in a tier below the Lions. And that does not mean that we don't think the Eagles have a chance of winning the NFC title game.
No,
it's
not
just
at all.
as of November 18th, 2024, there are two teams in this race, unless you are a believer in the Minnesota Vikings, which I'm not.
I am
know
not.
John's not.
Oh.
The Lions and Eagles are the only two teams with the Lions ahead of the Eagles, not just win-loss record, but you just watch with your eyes. You could tell the Lions are a different beast.
I watched all those early games yesterday. It was bouncing around. I had to turn off Red Zone. I don't know what it is. Red Zone.
I was locked in. Steelers,
Red Zone was
Ravens.
bothering me yesterday. It's like I liked it more when the Red Zone when Hansen talked less.
So he's talking too much for you?
Yeah, like I don't
haven't
need to
noticed
hear.
I haven't
I'd
noticed the
rather-
difference.
Show me more games.
Okay.
Give me less chatter. Like get me to the games.
Interesting. I haven't
It
noticed
seemed
as
like
much.
it was just too much. I was like, okay, so I started to watch like more of the individual games. I swear the Steelers and the Ravens play the exact same game.
They do.
Every time they play, it's the exact same game, and it's going to be some scoregami thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be like 18-10, 17-12. Those two play an ugly game, but boy, that was fun.
It was fun to watch, and
Football.
if Justin Tucker didn't all of a sudden stink, they would have won that football
What's
game.
with the kickers?
It's honestly, man, McPherson yesterday, Jake Elliott last Thursday,
Tucker.
and these are the
best in
better
the game.
kickers in the
Yes.
game, right? Like this isn't like just some guy that they
These are
picked
top
up.
5 guys.
Right. The top 5 guys in the league are falling apart this year. Tucker's been actually horrible all season long. And then the Sixers conversation, are they banged up or bad? That was the question posed by Keith Pompey in his article over the weekend following the Sixers' Friday night loss to the Orlando Magic. The Sixers are 2-10, which is the second worst record in the NBA. The Raptors just have played 2 more games. They're 2-12 on the year. So that's the only reason why the Sixers are ahead of them is that the Raptors have played 2 more games.
Well,
2-10, guys.
Is this a new process? Is that what we're doing?
No, this is Joel Embiid wasn't ready to start the season. He's back. We warned you it wouldn't look great right away because he's got to get his sea legs
Now, how many games do we have to do this sea legs crap?
Oh, it's done after this.
Okay, so like the next game he play. Well,
Yeah, there's no excuses.
oh, no, I hear them all the time.
There shouldn't be. And that's my problem with a lot of Sixers
Wait a
fans.
minute.
That I walk in toe to toe.
I hear it on-
You and we walk together in unison about the Sixers
I
team.
do-
There's no more excuses.
I do not want to violate the peace treaty. I hear it on Best Show Ever all the time. All the freaking time. The Joel Embiid excuses. It's a laundry list. And this is a disgrace. How long are we going to keep moving the goalposts?
They are going to make the playoffs.
Seriously, there are people at a place for mom that can get in cardio shape better than Joel Embiid. For God's sakes, they're doing more on the treadmill.
What about the mall walkers?
Oh, my God. The wall walkers, it's amazing. Hey, somebody's...
JoJo would be a great mall walker.
Oh, he'd be great. He'd be great. This is so...
right.
It's so annoying that...
I mean, all right, I'm the biggest Embiid fan in the world, and I'm watching this team lose, and I hear it from my fellow Sixers fans. Well, they're going to make the playoffs,
It'll
and
be
it doesn't
fine.
matter what the seed is. No, it does matter. You know why? Because the Miami Heat and the LA Lakers from a few years ago were outliers. That's not the case. And oh, by the way, with all due respect to the organization that I love dearly, the Sixers don't have a Miami Heat culture. They don't. So if the Sixers go into the playoffs as an 8 seed, they're not going to beat the Celtics. They're not going to beat the Cavs in the first round. It's just not going to happen.
All that matters is just being healthy in April. That's all that matters. If they're good, then. You know who that matters for? What did you say? Heat Lakers? You mean franchises that actually have a pedigree of winning
and the
when it matters?
And the Lakers have LeBron James.
Not a team that for a quarter of a century hasn't gotten out of the second round? It's so mind-numbingly stupid, the defenses that are done. And this is enough. This is so enough. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And
Hopefully
there's no
it turns
excuses
around.
for it.
Hopefully it turns around soon, Johnny. All right, I want to play something for you. We'll get to the text line coming up later on this hour. You can text the show or you can call in at 610-632-0975. I had a beautiful day yesterday.
So did we.
The Sixers just bring me down sometimes. On Thursday, we didn't talk about this on Friday. Now, you and I talked about Jalen Hurts on Friday.
We did.
And how big boy pants, big girl pants. Jalen Hurts did not play well in the first half of that football game. The Eagles still won. Nobody says Jalen Hurts sucks on this show.
They had 6 points going into the fourth quarter. That's not a good game from your quarterback.
Nobody on this show says that Jalen Hurts sucks, but on this show, we have big boy pants on, and we talk about how Jalen Hurts stinks at times or is really good at times, all right, to put it bluntly. Jalen Hurts did not play well in the first half of that game, and to your point, most of the third quarter as well.
Yeah.
He helped them win that football game.
He absolutely did.
That 3rd and 7 run that he got the first down on, that's all him, man. That is Jalen Hurts, and that is the winner mentality that we have seen in his 4 years now as a starter in the NFL. But after the game, here was Ryan Fitzpatrick, who was a part of the Amazon crew with Tony Gonzalez, Andrew Whitworth, and
Richard Sherman,
and
Carissa
Thompson.
I hope they have a driver for Richard Sherman to that event.
So here's Ryan Fitzpatrick after the game Thursday night when the Eagles beat the Commanders, talking about Jalen Hurts.
Go back to, I just keep thinking about you saying this Eagles team is going to get to the Super Bowl. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts tonight because they won. His stats look okay. He's been playing great statistically, looks good, passer rating. I walk out of this game with not a ton of confidence there in the way that he's playing right now. I mean, even with A.J. Brown, it just felt like there was a disconnect there tonight. There was some frustration with A.J. We didn't get the ball to Devontae a lot. To me, it seems like if there's a team that gets out and scores, that's going to rear its ugly head at some point.
So, first of all, I love the Eagles fans in the background doing the a-hole chant because Ryan Fitzpatrick is being critical, and obviously that was late at night, so a lot of Eagles fans liquored up at that point. But one of the things that he said at the end there, which is probably the biggest thing to react to, he said if other teams get ahead early,
like a Detroit can just go out and score.
He doesn't like the Eagles' style of play in order to come back and win, whether it's Jalen Hurts or the run-first offense.
Is that fair?
No.
Why?
Because Washington coming in was a team that's been able to score all year, and they went up on you early, and you had nothing going, and you came back and beat them comfortably.
Well, no, up as in like maybe 2 scores.
Well,
not
we said up. Now, if we're going to say up 2 scores, that's different. What he said was up.
What did Washington have? It was
like 10-3 at some point.
But it was like 7-0.
Yeah, but
it was a 1-score.
It was 7-0 midway through the second quarter, wasn't it?
That's as slow of a start as you can get, having 3 points at halftime against a team. Like, remember, Washington was a team that was looking really darn good offensively. The difference is it's very hard to get up on this Eagles team because this defense has been playing so well. That's part of the equation. So up against the Eagles might be 7 when up against the Jaguars for the Lions is 40.
Now, we have to remember. So I'm going to ask this question. Was Ryan Fitzpatrick out of line with that clip? You guys have to also remember, he's talking about that game.
He's talking about a particular game, but he's also saying from what he's seen.
Right. And I always question how much have you been able to see when you've been doing specific games all season long. But I'm sure he obviously did his study. I mean, Harvard, so I imagine he's a smart guy.
Oh, what's Harvard anymore?
Don't assume that.
He did his studies on the Eagles and Commanders leading up to that Thursday night football game. But I don't know if Ryan Fitzpatrick has watched every single Eagles game this year. That's just the only thing I'm going to ask. But that quote following the Eagles-Commanders game specifically, was Ryan Fitzpatrick out of line in questioning how this team could win if they go down early with this style of offense and Jalen Hurts at quarterback?
No, absolutely not.
No, I still can see Jalen Hurts throwing a team back into football games. I absolutely can.
I could see that certain teams, though, could bury you.
And this is because their strength is running the football. And that's the strength. That's why I wanted them to go with a run-first offense. It's basically at the point where I say don't let teams get in front of you.
Yeah, I look at it as that is not unfair at all. And once again, it's up to Jalen to change the talking points on Jalen. It's up to him.
Right.
He's got no quarterback has a better arsenal than he's got. As far as it's the only one comparable is Jared Goff.
Right.
Only one close.
And that's why it's 2 teams. Honestly.
It's Jared Goff. I mean, but I'm talking about the whole NFL. What would Patrick Mahomes do with the Eagles' offensive line with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley?
Right.
How many points a game would he put up? Now, maybe it's an unfair Mahomes. Josh Allen?
Right.
Think Josh Allen would put up 35 a game? I'm just saying. It's up to Jalen to change the talking points on Jalen.
All right, so is Ryan Fitzpatrick out of line there where he's basically saying if teams go ahead, he does not see how this football team could win games? So let's talk about that as well. 610-632-0975. We gave you our 3 talking points to discuss today on Kincade and Salciunas. We'll check the text line coming up next. Don't forget, it's a Monday, so even though the Eagles played on Thursday, Andrew DeCecco joins at 8:10, and I can't wait to talk to him because he sat down and watched football yesterday. So we can ask him this question about the Eagles and Lions and whether or not it's a 2-team race in the NFC. It's Kincade and Salciunas on a beautiful Monday morning right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
When it started out this year, we're going, is Fangio really,
7 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Early on in the 7 o'clock hour, we'll look around the NFL because it was a joyous day to just sit back and watch football, especially after the Eagles handled their business Thursday night against the Commanders. But our main talking point about the Eagles and the NFL in general, we believe on this show, we all agree here, that the Eagles and Lions, it's a two-team race. And
one team is ahead of the other.
And then the Lions are ahead of the Eagles.
Yeah.
And it's not just record. Watch the games, right? Like, they just completely obliterated the Jags yesterday. We're on Doug Peterson fire watch. Like, we really are. It's a shame that at some point today, I expect that the Jacksonville Jaguars will have parted ways with the with their head coach.
I sort of feel
freaking mind. We better figure this out.
I sort of feel that they won't.
Why?
That they're just going to ride it out.
That's horrible.
No, but I have a feeling they're just going to ride it out. But who knows? That owner's pretty.
Yeah, but that was embarrassing yesterday,
bad.
dude. 52-6.
They're not playing for Doug, so.
Yeah,
but that's a bunch of professionals that aren't playing for each other either.
Like, I get it. Mac Jones was playing quarterback. It wasn't Trevor Lawrence yesterday. But at some point, you just go, all right, we just got to change some, just for some pride at this point.
He just doesn't have an illness.
That's
played.
JoJo. All right, what do we have on the text line? Any of our topics today? You heard the illness, jab there. The Sixers, Keith Pompey wrote an article over the weekend following their 10th loss of the season in 12 games. They're 2-10. Are the Sixers banged up or bad? We'll expand on that a little bit more in the 7 o'clock hour as well. We just kind of got emotional when we first asked the question because it has been a tumultuous start to the season.
And for different reasons. You are actually pained by it.
Yes.
Because you are such a Sixers fan, such a Joel Embiid fan, everything. You're actually pained by it.
Yeah.
I'm pissed off by it. Like, we're coming from different places, but ending up at the same spot.
Right. Absolutely. All right, Connor, what do we have on the text line?
First texter, no name on this one, but they say Eagles and Detroit are on the same tier. Saying that the Lions are on a higher tier almost says they will absolutely destroy them when they play.
No, that we
and
didn't
I don't
say
see that.
No, we didn't say that.
Okay. Well, explain your point.
But we made that clear.
We said that the Lions are ahead of the Eagles, but that does not mean in a one-game playoff the Eagles can't beat the Lions.
And that's what we said.
But if you've watched 10 games of the Lions and 10 games of the Eagles this year, it is clear that the Lions are the better team. It's just,
if
honestly,
you were grading their work and you were a teacher, you were grading their work. The Lions are a far better student.
The Eagles got
It's
an
not
A
even
plus,
close.
or the Lions got an A plus. Eagles got A minus, maybe a B plus,
Maybe a B plus.
maybe B plus.
Yep.
I mean, look, we've talked about. Let's. We don't have the name on the text the texter, so no name texter, sir. Thank you, or madam. Thank you for texting in,
Madam.
or madam.
My God, I didn't know there were.
So there was one game this year where Lions fans were worried about the future of Jared Goff. I believe here there's been a lot of overreaction, but there's more discussion about Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia than Jared Goff in Detroit. We have talked about Nick Sirianni a million times. Dan Campbell's only talking point is, do his decisions rear their ugly head again come playoff time like we saw last year? But I don't remember hearing much through 10 weeks about how Dan Campbell is a detriment to the Detroit Lions, where we have literally had topics about can you win in spite of Nick Sirianni. The talent is comparable, as we have talked about, very much so. So that's why I say in a one-game playoff, of course the Eagles can win that football game.
And what if the game was here? You'd feel a little better if it was here for some reason.
It would be in Detroit if the season were to end today. So
Correct.
The talking points of the Eagles this year are not just, wow, look how great their 8-2 record is. The talking points in Detroit, for the most part, are, wow, look how great that 9-1 record is. And that's why we have the tier and the Lions are ahead of the Eagles.
And I keep hearing people that always are the Jalen Hurts blind defenders that say, no one talks about all these other things. Here's Green Bay radio this morning. Starting in like 5 minutes. Can the Packers win big with Jordan Love? We've got to discuss it because his turnovers are going to hold this team back. So in other words, all the things you think people aren't talking about, they're talking about him in the market, just as we talk about Jalen Hurts.
Which radio station is that?
It's the I don't know.
WDUZ?
DUZ.
Hold on.
We got to check DUZ.
Hold on. What was the question again?
Is what we have to have a discussion about Jordan Love and his turnovers.
920-444-1049, eh?
Exactly. We have to talk about his turnovers because this is going to hold you back against the good teams.
Do you think they say 920-444-1049?
I think they probably do, or something along those lines.
I like a 444. That sounds pretty good.
What I would just say is that I see it all the time. I see it from some people on Twitter all the time. Yeah, nobody talks. Jalen Hurts gets criticized, and none of these other quarterbacks again. Last week, they were crushing Jared Goff in Detroit. Today, they're saying, he passed for 440 yards?
And a perfect passer rating.
And then, by the way, he's one of 6 quarterbacks to have the perfect passer rating with 400 yards. And now they're loving on him. Today, Jordan Love is getting crushed in Green Bay. Again, every quarterback
gets
scrutinized. Jalen Hurts is not some put-upon superhero here.
Right, but I don't blame people for not knowing that.
Because they're not listening.
Then why do you say it?
John,
you can't say
John,
it.
They don't know. They listen to us, and what they hear is the national perspective. And guess what? The national media ain't talking about the Green Bay Packers. They don't care. The national media is not talking.
Hold on. They did talk about Jordan Love as
they
if
talk
he
about
was
Jordan Love.
At this point in the season, they're not a huge storyline.
Right.
So people only get the local or the major national storylines, and that gets
and
lost.
the ones that go viral around Philadelphia.
Connor, if you don't know what people are talking about with quarterbacks, these guys are getting just as skewered. Don't come with the take of these other guys are getting a free pass.
John,
they're not.
If someone in the conversation doesn't know something and you know something, you say, hey, this is what they're saying about this person here, and then everybody learns. I can't blame them for not knowing, but that's our point, to have this medium to tell them, hey, here's how it's happening in other cities, because we know this.
It's happening overwhelmingly. That's why I keep having to have the conversation. Doesn't seem like people hear it, though, Connor, is what I'm saying. They don't seem to hear it.
Right.
Other quarterbacks take heat in their cities, too.
Our man Alfie from Abington, local Lions fan, he says, this is the second best show you ever did. He said the first show is your post-cancer show, so congratulations.
Thank you, Al.
You're better than the Lions. Your post-cancer show is better than the Lions. When we do the IMDb shows, according to Alfie, that one's number 1. All right, coming up next, we reset the show. We'll expand a little bit more on the Sixers discussion as well, because we should answer the question, are they banged up or bad? We kind of just blew up because it's an emotional time being a Sixers fan. But we'll answer the Keith Pompey question. That's one of our talking points today. We'd love to hear from you as well at 610-632-0975. And around 7:10, we'll look around the NFL from yesterday. We've talked a lot about the Lions, but what about the rest of the teams? There was one game that made me sleep soundly last night.
Really?
It is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports.
Local PJ Wellahans, join the club. If you haven't signed up yet, why not? Become a PJ's Pub Club member and enjoy half-price wings every Tuesday. Plus, earn points for great PJ's rewards, free to join at PJ's. It was a big NFL Sunday around the league, and the Eagles were not in action, so we got a chance to kind of look around the league a little bit, see what's going on. The Lions, well, they were dominant. They took down the Jaguars 52-6. They look like the odds-on favorite in the NFC. The Chiefs, though, they're no longer undefeated. They fell to the Bills 30-21, an MVP-caliber performance from Josh Allen late in that one. But the Eagles are 8-2, so shouldn't be overly worried about anybody. Their Thursday night win put them in that position over the Commanders. Jalen Hurts talked about how much the defense has helped them lately and in that Thursday night game.
Defense played a hell of a game again. That was my message to him. I knew it was going to take all of us tonight, but the number one thing I was telling them was let's keep it going while it's hot. And after a short week, they kept the party going.
We'll see if they keep the party going. Hey, LA sounds like a nice place for a party when they take on the Rams on the road Sunday night. The Flyers take on the Colorado Avalanche tonight at the Wells Fargo Center. You can hear that game live on our sister station, WMMR. The Sixers face the Heat at 7:30 p.m. down in Miami. That game live here on The Fanatic. Joel Embiid is questionable with an illness. We'll talk to Andrew DeCecco of Inside the Birds at 8:10. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Bill Colarulo.
This defense, when you can play like they're playing, and then you come back to offense and you have guys like Saquon and Goddard and Devontae and A.J. Brown.
He has a lot to say about sports in Philadelphia.
This team, they could beat anybody. I mean, this is what we've been saying. There is no reason why fans shouldn't look at this Eagles team and say that they are not true contenders. They can beat anyone. I'm fired up. I had a hard time sleeping because I was so excited last night.
Listen to Bill weekdays on the Mike Missanelli Show, 10 a.m. to 2. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
This holiday at T-Mobile, I'm joined by a special co-anchor.
What up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Snoop Double G.
Snoop, let's talk about T-Mobile.
Okay, cool.
This holiday, get 4 lines for $25 a line, plus 4 iPhone 16s with Apple Intelligence and the all-new camera control on us.
Let's get cracking, like a breakfast egg.
You can use those eggs.
Football Monday, which is presented to us by Pierce Phelps, Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com. Coming up around 7:10, we'll look around the NFL, look at some of the scores. There was a game last night that let me sleep with ease.
So no gummies involved. It's just you slept with ease.
No, beers yesterday. I had mom and dad over yesterday. So your adopted
My adopted parents. Yeah, how was it?
Oh, it was an awesome day. My parents came over, so that means Cooper was entertained, and I got to sit and watch football for
what did you cook?
7 hours. I made a delicious sun-dried tortellini dish. And Christy made her cutlets, which are amazing. Bang, you put the two together. My dad surprised us with some cannolis from Termini's.
Wow.
So that was a great move by Dad.
Okay, good job, Dad. Dad, I'm proud of you, Dad.
But it started off well. We had our golf outing at Citizens Bank Park, which was really, really cool.
That was a lot of fun. The Upper Deck Golf event.
It really was.
Benefiting Stand Up to Cancer and everything. It was awesome. That was a really, really fun event. And Connor kicked our collective backsides.
He did, and the non-golfer came in second. Tied with John Kincade, of course.
Well, that's embarrassing for me then.
Yeah, it's embarrassing for you and Brendan Gunn, who came in dead last.
Gunn came in last. But it was a great time. I even met some listeners, even met some classmates of yours from high school.
Yeah, I had some of my high school classmates. I hadn't seen them in 12 years because mine doesn't believe in reunions. And
really nice.
It was cool to see them. But anyways, that's besides the fact. It was a great day watching football yesterday. And there was a game that let me sleep with these. I'll tell you about that at 7:10. But Eagles-Lions, that's topic number one. Do you agree at 610-632-0975, why or why not, that there are two teams in the NFC? It's the Eagles, it's the Lions. The Commanders are a cool story. The Cardinals are probably a little ahead of schedule at first place in the NFC West.
And they're one game over 500.
Yeah.
It's not like
it's great.
Or are they 6-4?
They're 6-4, right.
Okay, so they're 2 games over. Jonathan Gannon, I'm a Gannon fan.
I know you are.
I think he's doing a really good job there with what he had.
You're part of the Gannon's Cannons.
I am. I'm part of the Cannons.
I would say he's a fanon.
Vikings are 8-2 behind the Lions in the NFC North, but the question is whether or not you think they're
I am not
real.
worried. I am hoping if the Eagles are the 2 seed, I hope the Vikings drop to the 7 seed. So then Connor's family.
No, don't wish that on me.
Yes, I do. So then Connor's family can go to the game and absolutely be crushed.
John, I've watched their hearts get ripped out so many times. I hate to do it to them again.
I don't, though, because I'm not related to them.
You know what the matchup would be right now if the season ended today?
Commanders?
Yes, it'd be a rematch of Thursday Night Football.
And we're going to have another game with them in December.
Yeah, that's right. I kind of don't want to face it. Well, we did that with the Giants.
Well,
the Eagles did beat the doors off the Giants.
I do not want. By the way, though, people will tell you if you beat a team two times in the year, they will tell you the biggest lie. One of the great. I'm going to make the book of the biggest lies.
Yes, I do love this.
And it's the old. Well, it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a year.
No, it's not.
In fact, you're more likely to beat a team 3 times in a year than you're not.
You've had their number, clearly.
And the record indicates you're more likely to win.
Yeah.
The team that has won the first 2 games is more likely to win the third one.
Yeah.
So but you'll hear, don't want to play him 3 times. Too tough.
So
Sports talk radio lies are great.
Are the Eagles and Lions the 2 teams in the NFC? And then what do you think about the statement that we've made that the Lions are in their own tier? The Eagles are in their own tier as well, but it's Lions tier 1, Eagles tier 2. Everybody else is in tier 3 or below. We had a texter last segment that did not like that sentiment. We're not saying that the Lions, it's a lock that they would beat the Eagles. It's in any given Sunday league. We know that. But if you've watched the 10 games from both teams so far this year, and you had a chance to do that yesterday with the Eagles off, and they beat up the Jags 52-6, who you barely beat if it wasn't for Nakobe Dean's diving interception a couple of weeks ago, the Lions are a tier of their own. 610-632-0975. Now, let's answer the Keith Pompey question. Keith Pompey wrote an article over the weekend after the Sixers lost to the Magic. And the header was, are the Sixers banged up or bad? I think both can be true, John.
Sure they can.
I think the product of their 2-10 start is because they were banged up, because Joel Embiid was not ready for the start of the season, because Paul George got hurt in training camp. Because
shocker there, too.
Because Tyrese Maxey has since gotten hurt since the season started.
Now, that's the surprise.
They're 2-10 because of injuries and because of, Keith put in his tweet, one of the key words for me is the lack of continuity. And that's why when Embiid came back against the Knicks, I was not sitting here going, they're going to win because Embiid's back. I was excited to see him back, but I didn't think they were going to win that game. And they lost because he looked winded. And so they're 2-10, and I don't know when that's going to stop. I don't know when
him being winded?
Right, I don't know when it's going to stop. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know when the continuity is going to start when Embiid plays a game and then he's off the next day. So was Paul George. They come back against the Magic. Now that's 2 games they've played together. They're trying to figure out how to play with Jared McCain because it's not Tyrese Maxey. Even though he's been a great story, you're still trying to figure out how to play with one another. And that's part of the reason why, even though you're getting healthier with Embiid and Paul George, you're still losing basketball games.
Jared McCain's the only thing making me smile with the Sixers. And I think for most fans, that's probably where it is. I don't knock Maxey. Maxey's never been, dinged up like this. No. And I don't put it to anything but bad luck. And Maxey will be back. McCain's been a fun story.
Yeah,
it's
just a
really
shame that
fun.
The Sixers are losing so much that.
And hopefully it'll all work. But you've right now, the first 2 seeds are out. You're not catching the Celtics or Cleveland. And yes, you can't say that in November. No, I can.
Yeah, you can. Say
and if you'd like me to bet you on it, I'll bet you on it. For charity, for the American Association for Cancer Research, we can place any bet that you want. So then you're talking about home court advantage is available for you for 3 and 4 seeds. So right now, don't play yourself out of them, because by Christmas, you could be out of any home court advantage talk.
Right.
And just praying that you're going to be in any kind of position.
And we got into this 2 weeks ago. When do you start looking at the standings? I'm not looking at it daily. And that's scary. It's November the 18th. I'm looking at the standings.
You're looking at it because you don't want to see the train. You don't want to see the train.
I don't. Now,
wreck.
I can, if I were to go complete, I'm going to have Sixers goggles on. Right. And I'm not going to think about all the negative stuff that's going on.
Well, I'd have to move you to the best show ever.
I would say, hey, be careful. All right, they're 2-10, and the Knicks are the 4 seed. They're only 7-6.
Well, I mean, no. Don't say that to yourself.
No, I said if I were to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Good, I'm glad.
Trust me, I'm not doing that, dude, because this has been a painful start. And one day people will realize, like I have realized, that this is not a good thing to start 2-10 and just be healthy for the playoffs.
It doesn't matter, because you just got to be better in April. And as long as they're healthy in April, you know what? If you were a team, a franchise, that had a roster with playoff pedigree, I'm totally buying into what you're selling. But if you're still trying to sell let's just be, as long as they're healthy, they'll be fine. You're so full of crap. You are. And everybody knows you are. Because this team has no reason that you would be like, yeah, I'm buying in. Because playoff, man, they'll be great.
When Connor starts, Connor turns his mic on and goes, all right, or okay.
We know what's coming.
Something's coming. What up?
You're doing the same thing the first time when you said you didn't answer the question, right? All of this stuff is fair criticism of the Sixers. I don't think anybody's happy with where this team is at right now, or even feigning happiness if you're the biggest Sixers fan in the world. Like, their record stinks. They can't put together a complete game. But I would love for anybody to try and make the argument that they're a bad basketball team. I would love to hear that argument, because I will fight you tooth and nail on that.
That's why I said both can be true right now. I think they're playing bad because they're have been banged up.
Right, but I think Keith Pompey, we're talking about the overview of the team. Are they banged up or are they bad? I think they're banged up. And if you're going to tell me they're bad, I'm going to say that they have 3 top 30. There are 30 teams in basketball.
Yes.
They have 3 undisputed top 30 players in that league, and they have the odds-on favorite for Rookie of the Year right now.
The two of them, though, that you say are in the top 30, it's only if they have a healthy stretch,
right? But
which is rare.
That's banged up, John. That's not bad.
Yeah, but no, the thing is, banged up is Maxey. Banged up is not Embiid.
Banged up is injuries.
Paul George and Embiid are not banged up. Maxey's banged up. Embiid and George are consistently broken down on the side of the road.
Okay, well, the question is, we can play semantics. The question is, are they unhealthy right now, or are they a bad basketball team? And they're not a bad basketball team. Anyone who thinks they're a bad basketball team is flat out crazy. It doesn't mean they're going to win anything, and they've dug a hole.
Right, like what you're saying is,
does your record matter
like
or
the
not?
Jazz are a bad basketball team. The Wizards are a bad basketball team. The Sixers should not be 2-10, but they are 2-10, and it's because of the injuries and everything. But when does that stop? That's the thing. Like,
that's a fair question.
When do these excuses stop?
Right.
When?
Like, I don't know when Embiid, and I'm being as honest with you guys as if I'm talking to my therapist. You guys are my therapist today. Now, John's
okay.
It's like good cop, bad cop though, because John's gonna they're bad. When is Embiid going to start all of a sudden looking like himself? I don't know that answer. Both of you don't know that answer. From more the negative point of view, and you, John Kincade, from more the positive point of view, Connor Thomas. No one knows when he's going to all of a sudden start.
Don't do the negative thing.
Sorry.
It's not a negative point of view. It's a rational looking at this franchise.
No, but when I ask when is Embiid going to be healthy, you might say 3 weeks from now. Connor might say tomorrow, but none of us know.
There's no reason to have any kind of blind faith in Joel Embiid. None. And more importantly, it's where Connor and I will disagree. Banged up, Embiid's not banged up. Embiid is constantly on the side of the road, AAA waiting to pick him up. Paul George, for 4 or 5 years now, except for 1 year, has been consistently broken down on the side of the road. There's a difference between banged up and constantly hurt.
Right, but that's not the argument. We knew they were injury prone coming into this season. The question is the Sixers team bad, or are they currently having injury issues? I think the question Keith Pompey is getting to is, if Embiid and Paul George and Maxey all get healthy, is this a team at 2-10 that you're still looking at they just can't put it together? Because we've seen teams like that. Think about the iteration of the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie and KD and James Harden. They had moments, but there were a lot of times where you're looking at that team how are they that bad with those three guys? And that basketball team was not that good.
But they weren't buried into getting buried. They weren't buried where they dug themselves out of a grave and put the hand out of the dirt. This team is right now, it's getting further and further towards you're buried.
Again, I'm not making that argument. I'm just saying they're not a bad basketball team.
No, they're not a bad basketball team. They will make the playoffs. I feel very in
the NBA.
I know. I feel very
anything.
comfortable saying that they're going to make the playoffs. But then the next question is, all right, does it matter where you're seated? I believe that it does.
I agree.
And I hate that feeling on November the 18th.
Then right now you're in big trouble.
I know.
Because if it matters where you're seated, this team's screwed.
All right, before we get to the rest of the NFL, let's take a call. Let's go to Leonard in Philly. Leonard wants to talk about Jalen Hurts. What's up?
Oh, man. But you just brought up the whole Embiid thing, which is ridiculous. So, yeah, about Jalen, I'm just a little confused. I need some guidance, right? So, I guess the question you were talking about, with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, in case people are just tuning in, Ryan Fitzpatrick was pretty critical of Jalen Hurts after the win Thursday night and basically said if they're down, he doesn't see them throwing their way back into football games. So,
am I not supposed to look at Jalen Hurts' numbers over the past 5 or 6 games? Because I don't understand. A lot of the issues that we had with Jalen Hurts, not being able to throw over the middle, can't read coverages, and turnovers, hasn't he kind of gotten better in that?
He certainly has.
Across the board.
Because he's allowed to throw over the middle of the field because this new offensive coaching staff.
Now Kellen Moore is letting him do things that they weren't letting him do before. No, he's shown great improvement with that. Unfortunately, though, you've went into the fourth quarter with 6 points, and you went into a half of a game against the Jacksonville Jaguars where you didn't play well. You got to put 4 quarters together.
So do we think that's obviously we're always going to say players, and I agree with execution, but isn't that some of that coaching and the first 15 plays that we always talk about? I mean, I understand that Jalen, we always talk about missing throws, but isn't some of that the actual plan from the captain, from the coach?
Oh, I absolutely believe it. And we've talked about, and thanks for the call, Leonard, we've talked about the game plan going into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. You were missing A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. You're still dropping back to throw.
They threw over and over again.
That's dumb. That's not Jalen Hurts' fault.
No, that wasn't Jalen's fault. It was a stupid game plan.
Yeah, it was horrible.
And they had a hard time protecting Jalen in the beginning of that game.
And one of the things Leonard brought up, at least on our comment thing here on the call screener, was why is it that we always look at the bad in Jalen Hurts? Now, he says we, not you and I. We're critical when we're supposed to be critical. This is why it's today's talk show, right? Jalen Hurts has a bad game. We're going to talk about that he had a bad game. Jalen Hurts had a great game. We're going to talk about how Jalen Hurts had a great game. We have our opinions about the guy, but we're not going to – Jalen Hurts throws 4 touchdown passes and we go, yeah, but. No. If he had a great game, he had a great game. So I get where Leonard's coming from. It seems like a lot of times we're always pointing out flaws for players and not necessarily the strengths. And that's why I liked to point out the 3rd and 7 run where he gets the first down. That's it. That dude's a gamer. Jalen Hurts is a gamer. He's going to do whatever he can to help the team win. Sometimes it's a detriment. We've seen him play hero ball, and it hurt the Eagles in the past.
We have. Beginning of this year was terrible.
It was bad, yeah. And he's since gotten much better at it.
He's cleaned it up, and it's worked well.
And we
talked about it all.
That's why when Ryan Fitzpatrick says what he has to say, I don't know if it's totally out of line, but I asked the question. I would like to ask Ryan Fitzpatrick over a beer, because he probably wouldn't say it on the radio. Hey, Ryan, how many Eagles games have you watched? Not you checked out the 15-minute thing that you watched the day after.
Those.
I mean, how many games have you sat down and watched snap by snap with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense? And he's going to say probably 1, and it was the Thursday night game.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Like,
And
that's
the thing
my
is,
retort to
well,
Ryan
with the national analyst, I get that, though.
Yeah, it's hard.
And it's fine.
Yeah,
It's
especially when
fine.
he's covering a game.
And I'm sure, and I think he does a nice job. Like,
Yeah.
I do think he does a nice job, but these guys give you it's a shallow pool analysis on the amount of data that they have compiled in their brains as far as these guys, because they're doing a national show.
Right, exactly.
When you hear it.
All right, some of the scores around the NFL yesterday that are more pertinent to the Eagles. The Vikings beat the Titans yesterday 23-13. We've talked about them a couple of times today. They are 8-2, identical record with the Eagles,
And
but you
again-
still feel much better about the Eagles than the Vikings.
Yeah, and again, that doesn't matter. As long as the Lions are there, the Vikings' record doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're a wild card
because
team.
they would be a wild card team. The Eagles would always have home field advantage over them.
Yeah,
We
and
had somebody asking that this morning.
Right. And
Oh,
we're not
really?
overly worried about the ceiling of that team, right? The Vikings.
The Vikings, I'm praying that the Eagles play the Vikings.
Yeah.
That's the team I want them to play. One of their two matchups at home. Give me the Vikings any day
Now,
of the week.
We do have a question real quick on the Vikings from a texter that we should
All
fit in
right.
here.
What's that?
Nick from Bridesburg asks, John, are you still convinced the Vikings will be last place in the NFC North?
Yeah, you know what's funny is yesterday when that Bears game, I thought they win it. I was like going, okay, this is still going to happen? Nah.
Yeah, if they won it,
Not
they'd be
happening
5
now.
Bears team might be. They fell to 4-6.
Not happening
But they
now.
could finish third in that division despite being 8-2.
Correct.
Right. They're not like a great team.
They were the last unbeaten team in the NFC.
Yeah. Now you mentioned it. The Bears had a chance to win yesterday.
My gosh.
Second straight week. No, sorry.
Yeah, second straight week where a
second
team
straight
has
week,
lost.
but not the Bears. Second
Yes.
straight week where a team lost a game with a potential game-winning field goal that was blocked. The Bears lose the Packers yesterday, 20-19. It would have been nice if the Packers were handed a loss there.
Yeah, you just want that because if the Packers, though, again, the only way that game's going to matter is if the Packers somehow overtook the Lions to the Eagles.
Right.
So even though they're only a game, they're getting a game behind them and it's getting nervous. Again, the Packers and the Vikings don't matter as far as tiebreakers with the Eagles for that 2 seed because of the fact that you got to be a division winner.
Rams.
By the way, I don't like that rule. By the way,
Which one?
I think you should you absolutely automatically get a playoff berth. Should be if you win your division, but I don't think you should get a guaranteed top 4 seed.
Oh, I get it. Like,
I think you should be seeded by your record.
So college football playoff style like they're doing
Yes,
this year.
I really do. I think that if you win your division, you absolutely should get to hang a banner and everything like that. But you shouldn't be guaranteed a home
like
game.
when the Seahawks were 7-9 back
Right.
in the day.
No,
or when
you
the
should be
Eagles were-
guaranteed
Yeah.
guaranteed a playoff berth, but not the 4 division winners and the next 3 best records.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to be seeded by your record.
Rams beat the Patriots yesterday. That's important because
That
the
was a
Eagles play the
bad
Rams. It was a bad game.
Bad game.
The Rams defense isn't all that good, but the Rams offense got healthy.
I got to tell you, defensive line's not bad though.
It's not.
Now once again, I don't know how good the New England offensive line was protecting, but they were getting eaten up a bit.
But Nakua, 123 yards on 7 catches and a touchdown. Kupp, 106 yards on 6 catches and 2 touchdowns. The 2 wide receivers that you should keep an eye on, they both got healthy, and they had a big game with Matt Stafford.
But that game, they never were able to. They were never
really
able to
them
put
away.
New England out of their misery.
Also, we'll see you in Quinyanamo.
Yeah, that's true.
Come on.
Falcons
I
got
like
beat
that.
up by the Broncos, which is good because the Falcons have the head-to-head of the Eagles. Not that anyone thought the Falcons were trending in a certain way to keep up with the Eagles.
Yeah,
but
now they're 3 losses behind them. They're fine. So they're
But
done.
the game that let me sleep soundly last night, Johnny.
Which one was it?
Gino with the game-winning touchdown scamper.
That was awesome.
To hand the 49ers their 5th loss of the season. They're now 5-5, dead last of the NFC West, even though they're tied record-wise with the Seahawks and Rams. But because of head-to-head, they are in dead last of the NFC West.
Did you see Shanahan walking off that field?
He looked miserable. Kittle missed that game because he's hurt.
Yes.
Bosa left the game
Yes, he
injured.
did.
This team has played a lot of football in recent years. They're getting banged up before they're getting healthy. They're losing football games that they should win at home. That game.
They lost to the Cardinals at home. They lost to the now at home there. They lost that game.
As
so.
I've said, I will keep my eye on them until they are dead. They're obviously not dead yet, but that was another knife in the side of the San Francisco 49ers yesterday.
If the Eagles are the 2 seed, I do not want to see the 49ers as the 7 seed.
Hey, I agree with you. But maybe they missed the playoffs altogether.
They could.
That would be great.
Shanahan.
All right, coming up next. I read something in our elevator this morning, non-sports related, but we're going to turn it
On
into
the little
sports.
TV screen,
Yeah.
eh?
A recent study says that you should give yourself 5 minutes every day of worry time. That's really dumb. But hey, let's make it with Philadelphia sports. Coming up next, it's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Keeping the party going. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by AAA Car Care. Save $40 on any repair of $150 or more at AAA Car Care Centers. Offer valid through November 30th. Details at AAA.com/mycar. Jalen Hurts had himself, a slow start to the Eagles' Thursday night win over the Commanders, and that's why we had Sunday off, because the Eagles already had that victory. But the defense has become a calling card, and when you see what some of the offenses did around football this weekend, they're going to be a huge part of the ceiling of this team. Hurts talked last week about the defense and how they've been keeping the party going lately.
Defense played a hell of a game again. That was my message to him. I knew it was going to take all of us tonight, but the number one thing I was telling them was just keep it going while it's hot. And after a short week, they kept the party going.
They absolutely did. Now we'll see if after a long week, they'll be able to keep the party going in Los Angeles as they take on the Rams Sunday night. Around the NFL, no Eagles game yesterday, so we got to see what's going on with other teams. The Lions, they just embarrassed the Jaguars 52-6. They look very formidable in the NFC. The Chiefs no longer undefeated, falling to the Bills 30-21, the final score in that one. The Flyers will take on the Avalanche tonight at the Wells Fargo Center. You can hear that game live on WMMR at 7. The Sixers face the Heat at 7:30 p.m. down in Miami. Joel Embiid is questionable with an illness. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. Andrew DeCecco of Inside the Birds joins us at 8:10. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Matvey Michkov.
Back into the corner to Michkov, side of the net. He scores! Matvey Michkov from an impossible angle beats Hallmark, who slams the stick across the goalpost, and Philadelphia wins it in OT. Matvey Michkov is the hero.
The Flyers play here. Philadelphia's source for breaking sports news. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Your business needs a network it can count on.
Power's out.
Comcast Business has you covered with Wi-Fi backup to help keep your business up and running, even when your power goes out.
Everybody in the warehouse good?
Lights are out, but the Wi-Fi's up. Let's power on.
It's from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
Break room, you good?
Can't microwave my burrito, but Wi-Fi's fine. Let's power on.
Power on with the leader in connectivity, Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ask about Wi-Fi backup for your business, or get started with reliable internet for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, for a limited time, find out how to get an $800 holiday bonus prepaid card on a qualifying gig bundle. Don't wait. Call or go online today. Ends 12/15/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. EcoBill and autopay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about a week.
do probably one of the dumbest concepts I've ever read in my life about in a recent study. Like I think I'm going to come up with a study.
I think we could make up fake ones.
If you lick your armpit 5 times a day, you're going to have better health. I'm going to come up with some stupid study that people are like, oh, well, let me try that out. Like, it's dumb. I read it in the elevator this morning. I'll explain more coming up in a few minutes.
Not the armpits one.
Oh, no. That one's the one that I'm making up my own. I'm going to try to get that FDA approved.
Good luck.
All right, Connor, give us a couple of texts first on some of our topics, and then we're going to do 5 minutes of worry time together when it comes to Philadelphia sports. Well, what do we got?
All right, so check in on the Lions question here. So this texter asked, no name on this one. So the Lions are better because they stat pad in blowouts?
Oh, come on. Stop it.
Wait.
It took to the last minute of a game to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are terrible.
It's not stat
So
padding.
don't call it stat padding. It's called kicking somebody's backside.
Yeah.
It's called exerting your will over someone else. That's a lousy spin on it.
By the way, stat pad.
Stat pad. Stop it.
What was this? Let's just, instead of doing the full score.
Wasn't it 35-7 at halftime?
I was just about to ask, what was the halftime score? It was 28-6.
I mean, it was a ugly blowout.
And then they put up 14 more points in the third quarter, so that makes it 42-6.
They took the fourth quarter off.
And they still scored 10
Come
points.
on.
Yeah, don't give me stat
Come on,
pad.
stat
Like,
padding.
come on. We can use our eyes, and we can see how one team is more dominant than the other.
The Eagles want to play these really close games that are uncomfortably close, that come down to the last possession in the last minute.
Well, because
they know they can win it. Stop.
Oh, it teaches them how to win tight games. The Lions don't know how to win tight games.
My gosh.
Even though they've had tight wins this year.
They have.
And they beat a team despite their quarterback throwing 5 interceptions. That's why they're scary. Give us another text, Mr. Thomas.
Sinclair hits both of our topics today. So he starts with the Joel Embiid, or not the Joel Embiid, but
me and
the
Sinclair have been
Sixers
talking Sixers for a while.
question. Sinclair says they're banged up. When all 3 main guys get on the court, whenever that is, the rest of the team will fall into place better. He goes on to say Detroit is better than the Eagles for now.
Yes, and that's what we said.
November 18th, 2024, there's 2 teams in the NFC that we think will get to the NFC Championship game. We don't really believe in some of the other teams. We believe in the Eagles. We believe in the Lions. We also believe that the Lions are ahead of the Eagles, not just because of record, but because of what we've seen with our eyes so far this season. But that could change. Jared Goff, if he has another 3 interception performance after he had 5 just 2 weeks ago, we might go, all right, maybe the Jags are just really bad, even though the Eagles barely beat them. Maybe the Jags are just really bad, and then once Goff faced a real defense, we see his shortcomings, right?
Well,
that could change at any time. That's why power rankings change week in and week out, right? It could change, but as of right now, yes, the Lions are the better team than the Philadelphia Eagles, not just because of their record.
Yeah, I mean, it's look, I love how texter, I love how he says, for now, because that's exactly how we feel, for now, because in the next 7 games, the Eagles could, if the Eagles win the next 2, they go win at the Rams, win at the Ravens, I will absolutely have a different tune about where I think they are. Because then I think, move over Detroit, you're right on their shelf. If you go win the next 2 games on the road against those 2 opponents, I absolutely will say, move over. Mm-hmm. Move over.
All right. You ready to have worry time?
Yeah, sure.
Not story time.
I can't believe this is even a thing.
So I'm taking the elevator this morning, right? 4:50 was when I parked here. I slept. I went to bed early last night.
You beat me in the door today.
I went to bed early last night. It was great.
There you go.
4:50 this morning. I'm in the elevator. I always like to peek up to see what they're saying. What nonsense is the elevator telling me today? Today, there's a recent study where people should put aside 5 minutes of their time every day to worry about something. And they believe, studies show, that it's therapeutic because you then worry about it. You try to come up with reasons why you shouldn't worry about it. Or if this thing does happen, how do you have a plan to then get through it, right? I understand the concept, but life's stressful in itself. Why should I find more stresses? Because here's the deal. There's not something that I'm worried about right now that I haven't told you guys about when it comes to sports. But now I have to find something to be worried about. And I'll start first because I saw the thing, so I'll let you guys think about it. This is what this stupid concept did to me. All right? Dumb. This is stupid. People already deal with stress every single day, and now you're asking me to focus on more stress?
Clock's running, Salciunas.
The Sixers are 2-10 this season, right?
Yeah.
I love my man, JoJo. You guys know that.
You do.
I think he's going to get healthier. He's going to get his sea legs, blah, blah, blah. Have we seen Joel Embiid not get mopey before?
I've seen Joel Embiid more mopey than joyous many, many years.
If the Sixers are 4-14, and then
how about their 7 and how about their 7 and 15?
Can somebody tell me confidently that he's not going to mope?
If they do, they're basing it on nothing, and they're lying to you.
This is what this stupid worry time did for me.
That's what it is. That's what worry time did.
What did I get out of it? I'm not trading Joel Embiid. I love the guy. I want him to be here until his career's over. But what did that do for me? Now I'm even more stressed out that if he starts losing his focus a little bit and he's moping around, his shoulders are sagging, which we have seen in playoff games.
We've
playoff games, I've seen him do this.
Yep.
How do I know he's not going to do it during the regular season if things aren't going well?
I have a feeling this exercise was built for things that you can control because it's tough to feel better about that.
Here's the problem is that one of the things,
worry time, Connor.
Just trying to read, the minute I saw this on the show sheet this morning, I pulled up a little thing on worry.
All right, what do you
And
what do you got?
The vast majority of people, of human beings, worry, and it's weird, is what Connor just brought up. Worry is not something that is easily controlled for them. Even people who consider themselves highly emotionally stable, who have never had the need for a therapist, medication or otherwise, find worry to be the number one thing that they would like to remove from their lives. I am a worrier as far as I worry about the rainy day.
Yes.
Nobody ever worries about a rainy day as far as, do I put enough money away? Did I do those things? I obsess on that stuff. And it's something where I many times say, I wish I spent less time focusing on it. So this tells you here, introducing worry into your life, that's dopey.
It's so stupid.
It's stupid.
It's so dumb.
It's stupid. And somebody, I could draw a picture of the person who came up with this study. If they had 3 doctors, I could draw them I know exactly what they look like. Connor?
I don't really worry all that much, so this would probably be nice for me.
Well, what do you guys?
I'm not really
That's why
worried.
Connor's a golden retriever.
Get it out. Let's see if it's therapeutic. What is it?
I know what it is that I don't want to see the Sixers be irrelevant because I'm a selfish bastard as far as doing this for a living.
Oh, of course.
And I know that this city will check out on the Sixers if they're terrible. They will check out. And all you need to do is just watch the attendance during the process, and then when they got good. This city will check out. And so that's what I worry about. From a selfish standpoint, I want to be entertained.
I got good news, Johnny. They're never going to be irrelevant with George, Embiid, and Maxey.
Yeah.
They might be annoying, but they won't be irrelevant. People will still talk about them. It'll still be a conversation. The building may not be packed out the way we saw it happen with the Knicks.
Well, I mean,
series,
the tickets are sold, so that's going to be it.
Right.
I'm not worried about ticket sales. I'm worried about people caring about this team.
All right, what's yours, Connor?
I don't know that Washington's that good of a team. And if Washington's not that good of a team, because you know where I've stood on this. John likes Jaden Daniels.
I was more with you that I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I'm like, I think they're a good team. I think they're a 10-win football team. But if you take them out as one of those like high-level opponents, who have you played? That whole who have you played thing, it still does exist for me. And I just look at Detroit, and if I believe them to be a level above everybody else in the NFC, you're kind of flying blind until you play them in the postseason. I worry if the Eagles are beating bad teams.
After the Eagles play this is from Keith Weingard. Keith Weingard sends this question into us. After the Eagles play their 16th game, so before they play the Giants on January 5th.
Yes.
So before that game, who has more wins? The Eagles or the Sixers?
The Eagles.
I told him the Eagles. Guess what?
Wait.
You're in the play-in tournament.
Wait, come when?
January 5th?
So on the morning,
the Sixers will have more wins than the Eagles.
The Sixers easily.
I will say Sixers. Let's mark it down.
Yes.
Let's do it. We'll look at that.
I have Sixers.
Keith, we'll round back at that. That's a scary question, though.
5 minutes of worry time. Do you guys feel better?
No, I feel
worse.
worse.
This is stupid. I just looked up where this came from. Jennifer Mann Therapy. MANN.
Don't go to Jennifer Mann.
Jennifer Mann is not a doctor.
Oh, she
is the daughter of Barry Mann and Cynthia Well, who are a famous songwriting couple. So here's this person pretending to be a therapist with no degree.
She doesn't have a degree? Is that confirmed?
And yet she's a big therapist, apparently.
No, you know what she's trying to do?
She's a therapist.
She's trying to create customers.
She's got 99,000 followers on the gram.
She's trying to create customers.
It's too worry time. Let's feel worse about ourselves.
Well, you guys worry too much already. It might be nice for someone like me who doesn't worry.
All right, coming up next, we hear from you on any of our topics today. And don't forget, Andrew DeCecco joins us at 8:10 today.
Stop worrying.
To break down the rest of the NFL. It's Kincade and Salciunas on a Football Monday, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson.
6:47 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Again, our man Andrew DeCecco is going to be joining us coming up at 8:10. I'm curious because we talk so much with Andrew about leading up to Eagles versus whomever, and then we react to the games with Andrew. Andrew is a bright football mind, but because he comes on this show to talk Eagles, we only talk Eagles. We have him on for a specific reason today to talk about the rest of the NFL and to point out some of the teams. And he is a football guy, whereas I'm a football guy too. But
well, please stop it.
But we're radio personalities, so I wonder: does he see something in the Vikings that we don't see? Does he see something in the Packers? Like we just talked about how the Eagles beat the Packers earlier this year. Does he see something in Green Bay? Does he see something in Detroit that could actually be a negative for them? Because one of our topics today is whether or not the Lions are in a tier of their own, despite it being between two teams, the Lions and the Eagles, going into the NFC title game. We'll ask Andrew about that coming up at 8:10.
And you heard the Inside the NBA staying together.
Yes.
Did you hear that? Going to ESPN and ABC.
I did see that.
So you get one of the best shows that stays together. I think about that. Is that something to worry about? People were worried about that. Take the worry off your plate. The show stays together.
Take the worry off your plate.
And they built a wall around it, by the way.
Whether you're a doctor or not.
They have built a wall around it, whether you're a therapist or whatever, that it's not going to be invaded. Like they're not going to be adding other people to it.
Yes. It's the show.
That show is going to be very territorial about it. So there's something you worry a little less about.
I like that. That makes me happy.
See, I'm going to give you something every single segment you don't have to worry about.
Well, I like that. I'd rather not worry than pretend to worry.
A therapist telling you to worry more is saying, I want more business.
Yeah.
Worry more.
And again,
it's good for you.
No,
it's not.
When I started doing it didn't help me with the Sixers, man. All right, what do we have on the text line, Mr. Thomas?
Faye in Pottstown.
Are you worried?
No, I'm not worried. Dude, I never worry about anything.
Good.
Faye in Pottstown checks in and says, I agree that the Lions look like the better team, but was anyone else surprised that their starters were in for as long as they were in that game yesterday? If they're going to keep absolutely beating the brakes off the teams, and that's me editorializing a little bit to shut down, players could be gassed come playoffs. What do you guys think about that line of thinking?
Look, I am surprised that they were out there in the fourth quarter. Like I really don't understand the point. Like that's when I start thinking of the Dan Campbell, Harry Hardo thing. Like,
correct.
We keep on playing football. Like, all right, Dan, you guys won. Pack it up. I don't know if they're going to be gassed, but I get what the texts are saying.
I believe as a coach that you play the game until the end of the game. Like, I hate it when you bring in the backup players and you start just handing the ball off, or you start just – I think you let the backup players play the game.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Get them the experience. But I wouldn't have my stars out there under any circumstance.
Like, you wanted Pickett to try to run
No, I want
Jalen's
Kenny Pickett to try to run the offense.
Because God forbid something happens.
Because it's not but the thing is, you got to be up by enough, too, that it's not – you're not doing stupid things to put it.
Yeah, I'd prefer to not see Kenny Pickett throw the ball, if I'm being honest.
He was 1 of 2 last week, I think, right?
That's pretty good,
Glad we made that investment.
Oh, what are the Steelers doing with Justin Fields?
Glad we made it.
They used him for an option play on.
Did you see what he did?
And he won them 5 games?
Yeah, but did you see what he did?
What?
Well, Justin Fields at the end of this Ravens game.
You mean when he slid at the 1 yard early?
Yeah, what are you doing, dude?
I thought he thought it was there.
I know.
Thought he had it.
I know he started the games earlier in the season. You're the backup, dude. You gotta
get across that line.
Yeah, like I saw that play happen, and I don't know which wide receiver it was, but immediately put his hands on his head, like, dude, what are you doing?
Why are you doing it too early?
Now they got the first down the very next play. They handed the ball off to Najee Harris, but yeah, I mean that was like, yo, dude, you're the backup. You need to get the first down.
So if you're asking, Justin Fields won 5 games for the Steelers, who were the 2 seed in the AFC or 3 top their division.
Kenny Pickett just hasn't had a shot yet.
Yeah,
John.
exactly.
He hasn't had enough.
How about this? Kenny Pickett isn't winning 5 games. He isn't winning 5 games for the Eagles. No. Would have been a better investment, but I get you.
He won 7 games in back-to-back years with the Steelers. So why do you know he can't win 5 games with the Eagles?
Justin Fields only won 5 games with the Steelers. Kenny Pickett won
how about
7.
that?
Checkmate.
Who has more wins in their Steelers career, Kenny Pickett or Justin Fields?
Yeah.
What else we got?
Hopefully not Pittsburgh radio topics. What if Joel never does look like his old self? What then? This comes from Eddie in Camden. I think people may have that feeling of like, is this the turning point of his career?
Well, John and I talked about this a week or 2 ago. there's no way they didn't do their due diligence when they gave him the contract extension. Like, they weren't going to give a 5-year max contract or a 3-year extension to the 2 years that he had if they thought or knew that he had, like, a degenerative knee. Like, it's soup in there.
What's wrong with the knee?
The Olympic thing.
Why were you rushing to get him a contract? Why were you rushing to get him to add additional years when you had him for 25 and the playoffs of 25 and the playoffs of 26?
To link up
already
the
under
time
contract.
frame with the other stars.
But you didn't have to. You don't have to do that. You already had him linked up for 2 years. Like, I mean, there's no reason. And you know what I believe it was? And I will. I'll say it if nobody else will, because Joel might have been mopey if those other guys had contracts beyond him and his contract wasn't with him. That's why you had him under. You had him under.
I'm not going.
You had him
you
under.
can't do that.
I just did.
He can. He's allowed
just
to.
did.
He's allowed
and
to.
it's very rational.
But
there was no need. There was no need to sign that contract extension. None. Especially with a guy who you knew was injured in the summer, who didn't make the main thing. Like all the Jalen Hurts people who will get on Jalen, at least Jalen, it's Philadelphia Eagles. It's nothing else. It's nothing else. It's putting the main thing, and Joel Embiid did not do that.
Well, equally as rationally, if I'm the Sixers, I could say, wow, I really trust this Paul George move that we made. And what happens if they go out and they have success and we haven't signed Joel Embiid yet? And it's just like, you get it taken care of now so that you don't have to worry about it in the future.
Done, though.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, they could be really, really good. What if that changes the way that Joel Embiid looks at it? What if it changes the way that you build this roster? Like, we want to lock it down now so that we can build the pieces around them and have more
I think
knowledge.
it was as simple as having everybody 5-5-5. 5 years,
But
5.
like, that's the most likely.
But it was unnecessary. You had him for 2, and it's unnecessary, especially with a guy with a horrible health history.
Well, that's true, but they also signed another guy with a horrible.
No, but it's like that way Joel would feel good about it.
I don't think it had to do with Embiid's attitude, dude. I don't think that's fair.
I'm not there.
Okay.
You could be there.
I'm there. I'm there with 2 feet planted. I'm there. Not even a question. I'm there.
All right.
I'm living there. Send my mail there.
Coming up next, we reset the show. We have today's headlines with Brendan Gunn. Connor, go home. Feel better.
All right, see you, boys.
Thank you for coming in this morning. It's hard to get up this early when you're not feeling well.
Got a broken window. I'm sick. It was a long weekend.
Take care of that. And maybe Andrew DeCecco will, join us at 8:10 right here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A 2-team race. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Popeyes. It's football season in Philly, so you got to have some grub. Popeyes has just the John. For any fan of the birds, we're talking wings, baby. So fly to Popeyes Fly and fill up on wings in 7 delicious flavors. Is it a 2-team race in the NFC? Well, with the performance the Lions put on, they absolutely have put themselves in that conversation. They took down the Jaguars 52-6 yesterday. We got a chance to watch a little bit of that because it was an NFL Sunday without the Eagles, who had their win on Thursday night over the Commanders. So we know that Detroit is tops in the NFC currently. Also around the NFL, the Chiefs are no longer undefeated. They fell to the Bills 30-21. Josh Allen, a heroic performance for Buffalo. But the Eagles are 8-2, and they're sitting in strong position in the NFC East. So is it a 2-team race in the NFC between the Eagles and the Lions? We're talking about that today. We know that the defense is a huge part of why the Eagles are in that conversation. Jalen Hurts talked about it after Thursday night's game.
Defense played a hell of a game again. That was my message to him. I knew it was going to take all of us tonight, but the number one thing I was telling him was just keep it going while it's hot. And after a short week, they kept the party going.
They did, and we'll see if they keep the party going in L.A. this Sunday night against the Rams. The Flyers play the Avalanche tonight at 7. You can hear that game on WMMR. The Sixers face the Heat at 7:30 down in Miami. Joel Embiid questionable with an illness. You can hear that game on The Fanatic. Andrew DeCecco joins us coming up next. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Ricky Vitalico.
This is a team that has a lot of weapons. I mean, you look up and down defensively, offensively, from the
On this Monday morning, hope you have a safe drive into work today on this Football Monday, which is presented by Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com. Our man Connor Thomas feeling a little under the weather. He's heading home. So Brendan Gunn will man headlines coming up at 8:05, and Andrew DiCecco joins at 8:10.
And in all honesty, we got rid of him.
Yeah.
Because none of us want to be sick. So
you know what's amazing, dude? I was never like that pre-COVID, and then COVID happened, and forget what your opinions are on the whole COVID thing. Like when people are sick, maybe it's now I'm an adult, whereas back in the day I was a teenager and I did whatever. Now I'm like, yo, can you stay away from me? Like I don't want to be sick. Nobody likes being sick.
Yeah, no one likes.
And I got a 2-year-old at home. No, I'm not talking badly to Connor. It's like I don't want to get sick and then bring it to my 2-year-old.
Because your 2-year-old's going to bring enough sick into here.
Right. But I used to come in here with like my eyeballs falling out of their sockets and I couldn't talk, which is kind of hard to do for this job. You just don't want to take a day off.
No, I mean and Connor did not want to leave, but we were like, get the hell out. Which is good though. So we're happy to see it. By the way, too, Quicklin.
Mm-hmm.
Connor, you, me, all tied now in our picks.
Yeah, I had a bad weekend.
You had the first Shankosaurus
of
anyone of the entire year. But how about this? To your credit.
Yes.
You went all the way till November 17th before you had a losing week.
Yeah, I'll take that.
You did not have a losing week all year. Yesterday, you pulled the Shankosaurus.
Yeah.
You went to the Gibbs, well, by a yard and a half you lost.
Yeah.
You lost.
I told you Vegas caught on. I said it. If you remember on Friday, I said, hey, they raised it up to 70 or 70 and a half, whatever it was.
If you want to know how amazing these people are in Vegas, you had Gibbs for Detroit, over 70 and a half rushing. He had 69 yards. I had Calvin Ridley, under 60 and a half. He went for 58.
It's unbelievable.
I had Sam Darnold, under 248 and a half passing. He went for 242.
That's unreal.
You think about how good they are at setting lines, but we got a 3-way tie, 61%.
Yeah.
But we're heading towards Thanksgiving, and we're all above 60%.
Well,
that's unheard of.
Hopefully I turn things around on Friday.
No, you're first losing. The first Shankosaurus of the year is you, and you were the only one who never had a losing week all year.
But I don't want to be the 2023 Eagles and then all of a sudden start losing week after week after week.
You might be.
Man.
I wouldn't wish that on you. No, I would. Because I want to win.
Yeah, you want to win. All right, before we get to headlines, real quick, here's what we're talking about today. We'll discuss it more with you at around 8:30 because we got headlines and we got Andrew DiCecco. But Eagles, Lions, it's clear in our eyes that there are two teams in the NFC that have a legitimate shot at getting to the NFC Championship game. And, of course, only two teams play in the NFC Championship game.
That's good math on your part, yeah.
And so the Eagles and Lions are the only two teams that we are keeping an eye on right now on November the 18th. However, we've also said that the Lions are still ahead of the Eagles, not record-wise, but in terms of our eye test, the Lions are on a tier of their own. Eagles are on a tier of their own, but below the Lions, and then everybody else is below the Eagles. And then when it comes to the Sixers, Keith Pompey wrote an article this weekend after they fell to 2-10. He asked the question, are the Sixers bad or are they banged up? And we've been talking a lot of things about the Sixers. I'm just miserable right now because I don't know when this is going to end. And I think at some point, Embiid's going to have his sea legs. I just don't know when that's going to be. And I can't sit here and say, oh, it's going to be the next game. Or it's going to be the next game.
Does he look like somebody who is comfortable with his knee?
He does not right now, no.
Okay. Because that's going to be the excuse we get for why he can't be in shape. Because he doesn't feel confident with his knee.
Yeah, and then the next excuse will be
I don't know what a treadmill. I don't know what a treadmill has to do with that. And then the NBA shape.
It is different.
I know it's going to. Sure, it is. Sure, it is
different.
But we do not have to hear about it. Well, it's different because he's three. He's a big guy. He doesn't have to. There's always going to be excuses offered with Joel Embiid.
And I'm not trying to turn the tide, but you know me. I was one of those excuse makers. I'm not making them this year.
Well, the thing is, though, I don't. Now I'm going to give you a little credit here.
Thank you.
I don't believe you've ever been I've never painted you as the excuse maker. I think you are the reason finder.
Yes.
There's a difference. Excuse makers just will blindly you criticize enough about the Embiid situation that tells me you're not an excuse maker. You try to find the reasons, and by the way, some of them you're right on. Some of them you're right on. Like, there are reasons why guys have problems. But this situation, this is entirely on the fact that Joel Embiid did. I hope everybody puts if this team is out in the first round again, you know what we should do? NBC Sports Philadelphia should show those Olympic games. NBC had the Olympics. Let's show them over and over again because that should make us all feel better, right? Because Joel got a gold medal. We're so happy for that.
It's time now for today's headlines with Brendan Gunn.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
What do we got, Gunner?
Yeah, so obviously we had a chill weekend as far as pro football goes, but there was some football played at the link. On Saturday, the Big Bad Temple Owls got a win, an overtime win.
Damn right they did.
Over
Number 3.
Florida Atlantic.
What hit, boys?
There it is.
What hit?
The over, 2.5.
Over, 2.5.
I did it, too.
They did. They're exceeding expectations.
My Temple sweater because the over hit.
They exceeded expectations.
They exceeded Vegas' expectations. So what'd they do to celebrate?
They fired their head coach, Stan Drayton. So as a big Temple Athletic fan myself.
Oh, get the hell out of here.
Is there anything this team can do, this program, school, university, can do to bring Temple football back to any sort of relevance at all?
I still think one of the worst things that happened was Jeff Collins had an opening at his hometown at Georgia Tech.
Yep.
Was he Matt Rule? No. But was he, what the hell was the guy's name after Jeff Collins?
Oh,
Manny Diaz?
No, Steve Adazio.
No, not Adazio.
Wasn't Adazio after him? No, Adazio was
the
before
guy that came from like Northwestern or whatever. He sucked.
Oh, yeah, he's awful.
He was horrible.
No, forget
His
about
own
him,
players on social media badmouth them all the time. And then we get to the Stan Drayton thing. Look, Drayton came from a pedigree school in Texas when they were bad. Now they're good. It's a shame, but it's a weird look to fire them after the win. Unless they wanted to go out on a high note. I don't know. I don't think there's much to save Temple football unless you get a great coach, great recruiter. Bring in James Franklin for all I care.
Well,
just
James Franklin will try to leverage this for another raise from Penn State. By the way, don't want him.
All I'll say is this.
Keep him.
If you are a Temple fan, as we, at least John and I are, we direct our attention to the Hoop Squad because they actually got some stuff cooking with that team. But
Rod Carey, Kevin Cooney.
Thank you,
Rod Carey. Thank you, Kevin.
He was horrible.
I burned him from my memory.
Yeah, but that was the Manny Diaz thing. But anyways, go Temple basketball.
True. By the way, Manny Diaz, want to know what kind of a dirtbag he was? Want to know what kind of a dirtbag Manny Diaz was?
Please.
He called as one of the alumni sports people that he called to before his first press conference. So he calls around to prominent people. I believe there was another guy who joins this show every week who got called too.
Oh.
Tell me about Temple. Tell me about how I connect with the fans. Tell me how to do these things. So I gave him all the good talking points, all the things you want to connect with and everything. And then a freaking few weeks later, he's like, out the door.
Yeah. I don't even know if it was a few weeks.
I heard him. I swear to God, this guy sold me on, how dedicated he was. This is a great opportunity. I can't wait for it. A
guy associated with Miami and Penn State, it's a scumbag. Who knew?
Oh, my gosh.
By the way, how'd it work in Miami? He's still there?
Not too hot.
He's not. All right, what else
he
we
was
got?
asking for all the talking points. Let me connect.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys saw this with the Paul Skeens and his one-of-one rookie card that's apparently in some kind of Topps pack
I love
or
that
something.
you're bringing this up.
But, there's a one-of-one rookie card with a patch from his debut jersey on it, and it's autographed.
Yes.
And he wants it, or the Pirates wants it, and they're offering a huge package to the guy that pulls this ticket. The guy that...
it's like Willy Wonka.
Yes, exactly. If he wants to trade it into the Pirates, he's going to receive season tickets for 30 years right behind home plate, a meet and greet with Paul Skeens himself, an autographed jersey, a softball game for 30 at PNC Park, and more stuff by the Pirates. And Livy Dunn, his girlfriend, said, if you don't like the seats behind home plate, come up to my box on a night-to-night basis.
Wait a minute.
Wait, you didn't know about this?
What? No, because I don't understand something is, so are they, is this ticket only going to be sold in Pittsburgh?
So, thank you. It's his baseball card, his
I
rookie
understand,
card.
but like anybody could get that
Thank
baseball
you.
card.
So, thank you very much, which is why I'm glad B Gun brought this. Because if somebody says 30 years of season tickets behind home plate, my eyes go, wow. But if I live in New Jersey and I'm a Phillies fan, why the hell do I care about those seats?
Not at all.
So here's what I would say to Pittsburgh. Hey, I pulled it. What's the worth of 30 years of behind home plate seats?
Exactly.
A lot of money.
No, that's what you're gonna. That's what you're
pay
gonna
that
give
to me in cash.
Yes.
I'll give you the card.
Yeah, the card's apparently going to be worth six figures in some kind of form or fashion. I'll take the cash money.
I'll take the cash of behind home plate seats for 30 years.
And you know what I would do? I would just say, just give me that. Since you're offering
You're giving
it to
me
somebody.
the seats. Why not just give me the money?
I don't need anything
Don't
else.
try to pull the lottery trick where it's like, do you want the lump sum or do you want the full thing
none
over
of that.
the 30 years?
By the way, always take the money.
Damn right you do. All right. Thank God. Thank you. Thank God. Thank you, Brendan Gunn.
Thank God, too, yes.
Good job, B. Gunn.
We
That
love
was
you,
today's
God.
headlines, and we hope Connor is feeling better.
Big God fans here.
I am. Let's head to the
So should
Comcast.
or Sanders.
Let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. We've been looking forward to this conversation all day. Our man from Inside the Birds, and of course here on 97.5 The Fanatic, the great Andrew Duchecko joins us. Andrew, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. We've been looking forward to this all day because we were saying it last segment. We talk to you every week about the Eagles and then about the opponent. But we've never really had the chance to talk to you, at least in this show of Kincade and Salciunas, about the rest of the league. So you, like all of us, had the chance to just sit down and watch football yesterday from 1 o'clock until the end of the Sunday night football game. And so we want to pick your brain about some of these teams because you are a football guy. So let's start with the big one. The Lions beat the doors off of the Jaguars. We're trying to find out if you can answer this question. Are the Eagles and Lions, as of right now, the only two teams where you go, yeah, they are legitimate teams that can get to the NFC Championship game so far on November the 18th?
Absolutely. They're in a tier of their own, Andrew, and I think I have the Lions ranked slightly above the Eagles right now. They are a team that is just so in sync. Their offense and their defense are playing complementary football. Jared Goff threw 4 touchdowns. They're Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown, both over 100 yards. And I just think that they're a team right now that are operating at such a high efficiency rate. But I would like to see what they're able to do outside of the cozy confines of their dome stadium. But it's kind of hard to put any team in front of them right now in the NFC.
When I look at the Lions, though, they don't seem like the cozy confines thing. They look like a team that's just as built for an outdoor game in January as any team in the NFL.
Right, but the one drawback, John, the one thing that I will say about the Lions is the quarterback, Jared Goff. Right now, he looks to be super efficient right now. He's keeping that offense on schedule. But unlike Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff is a quarterback where if things don't necessarily go his way early, there's a turnover, a fumble, a drive stalls. Sometimes that sits in his mind, and he's not able to overcome that, whereas Jalen Hurts, one of the more remarkable things about him is he's able to still keep that offense on schedule regardless of what happens early in the game. He lives drive to drive, where I think that if you can provide some pressure on Jared Goff, maybe force a turnover or two early on, it changes the whole complexion of the game.
By the way, some news in the NFL. Daniel Jones, they just announced, will be benched. They have a potential out after this season. Tommy DeVito is going to be the starting quarterback over Drew Lock. So Tommy DeVito will be the starting quarterback of the New York Giants, but something to keep an eye on, obviously, for...
Makes no sense.
Well, it does if you're the Giants and you want the highest pick you can possibly get. Tommy DeVito sucks.
Yeah, Tommy DeVito's... Yeah.
He's so bad.
I watched him play the Eagles pretty well.
Andrew, another game that I had a close eye on yesterday was the 49ers-Seahawks game because the Niners are a team that I will always keep an eye on until they are officially dead. Now, they're not officially dead, but they're now in dead last of the NFC West. What do you make of this 49ers team? Is it straight up health? Is it just a lot of games over a lot of years because they've had a lot of NFC Championship and Super Bowl appearances? What's the deal with the San Francisco 49ers, and can I start sleeping soundly at night?
I think it's so hard I think that really illustrates how hard it is to stay on top for so long. Look, Christian McCaffrey is back. I just think that they had so many distractions going into the season, Andrew, that it sort of bled into the season. Obviously, they struggled with some injuries early on. And they're not really able to overcome that, whereas other teams in their division got better, and they're able to keep pace with the 49ers. They're not that juggernaut that they were in the past, and I think right now you see the book out on them a little bit, and I think teams have figured them out. So they're not necessarily the imposing NFC heavyweight that they have been in recent years.
When you watch the rest of the league, what is something you see glaringly that you wish the Eagles did like some of the best contenders?
I just look at the offenses, John, and how efficient they are. The whole playbook seems to be at their disposal. Teams are getting off to fast starts. Like, for me, what I really keyed in on, and this should be no surprise to you guys, I had my yellow legal pad out, and I'm taking
I expected that,
Rams, of the Rams game, because I want to give you guys the full breakdown later on when we speak this week and be as detailed as I can. But I think that, for me, when I'm watching the Rams offense, for example, you just see it. It's just so rhythmic and cohesive. Whereas the Eagles, they had 6 points going into the fourth quarter on Thursday night, and obviously they were able to find a way to get a win, and that Saquon Barkley was a big part of that. But they need to be able to find a way to be that dominant force throughout the game. And what I saw from a team like the Rams, what you see from the Buffalo Bills, largely is a team that they're much more well-rounded offensively. So that, to me, really stuck out.
Are you somebody that looks back on an Eagles schedule and says, man, that was a bad loss? Because the Falcons lose to the Broncos yesterday 38-6 to the point where Kirk Cousins was put to the bench and Michael Penix came out. Or do you just always look forward?
Well, for me, I always just look forward and see who the Eagles are playing, and I base it off of that. But, yeah, when you see the manner in which the Atlanta Falcons lost yesterday, Andrew, you look back at how the Eagles play them, and that it came down to that drop and that decision-making late in the game, not just the drop, but that was a tough loss for the Eagles. And now looking about when you're crunching the numbers and how difficult it could be later in the season, yeah, that's one that I'm sure they would like to have back. But I think for the Eagles, they were a different team then than they are right now. So I don't know that they're really taking any stock into that, and I really don't either when I sort of analyze the season as a whole.
I had folks on Twitter last night still arguing the Falcon game outcome, saying, yeah, it was still smart to throw that ball. I beat my head against the wall and then continued. When you look at the Birds, and if you said they're the 2 seed, if I told you right now they're going to be the 2 seed, do you think their chances of going to a Super Bowl are fairly comparable to if they would be a 1 seed? Fairly comparable. We know it's not going to be even, but fairly comparable.
I do. I think the Eagles right now are a team that's built to travel. They are. It sounds incredible to say, John, but I still don't think they played their best, most complete game. The best is yet to come from that offense. I think they're still ironing some things out. They've established their identity as a run-first team, which always travels, especially when you get into the postseason. So to me, I think it's a little bit more difficult being the 2 seed, obviously, but I think if the Eagles can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the NFC, it just has to be a lot more consistent offensively. I think the defense right now is in a really good place.
All right, a lot of the time when we talk about the rest of the league, we focus on the NFC and how it can impact the Eagles. But dream with me for a second, Andrew.
Oh, I love dreaming.
It's January 27th, 2025, Monday morning. We wake up. You're going to come do the show with us, right? The Eagles just beat X in the NFC Championship game. You got a chance to watch the entire league yesterday. Who's the AFC team in the Super Bowl that the Eagles would be facing? And if you say the Chiefs, that's a fine answer. Who else could it be if you do say the Chiefs?
No, I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills. And you can also make a case for, and this is sort of a shot in the dark, but the way the Pittsburgh Steelers are playing right now, that defense with T.J. Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, they are a very fast-flowing defense. They can do just enough offensively to really keep pace and keep the score low. But I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills because, to me, I think Josh Allen is the MVP of the NFL right now. You could certainly make a case for Saquon Barkley. He's definitely on his way. But I think the Bills are a very, very complete team right now. They have more of a running game that they've had in years past. Now, for me, it always becomes, can Josh Allen make the critical plays in the big moments, which has always been his drawback? I'm starting to think that he can because you're seeing that in the game yesterday where the stakes are high and in high leverage moments. So I do believe that they're going to be the team that emerges from the AFC.
Anything you're worried about on the injury report or anything going into this Rams week? Everybody you think going to be fine?
It looks to me, John, at least coming out of that game, and we haven't gotten any information yet because the last we've heard anything from the Eagles was Thursday.
Sure.
Nick Sirianni's going to speak today, but it looked like they got out of that game largely unscathed. And I think that when you're going across the country to the West Coast, that is going to be a very difficult task. And you look at the way the Rams played yesterday, and they have a very young defense. They have pieces like they have a rookie safety named Cam Kincade, who may be the only player who keeps Quinyon Mitchell back from getting Defensive Rookie of the Year. They have 2 pass rushers in Jared Verse and and they have another kid from Florida State as well at defensive tackle, and Braylon Trice, who had a sack yesterday. So they have young pieces there that I think you combine that with traveling over the West Coast. The Eagles do need to be fully healthy going into that week because it's going to be a tough one.
Andrew, you're the man. We appreciate it as always. You are going to L.A. When are you flying out Saturday?
Saturday morning, 6 a.m.
All right, so we get our Friday DeCecco conversation for the hour, and then we will bug you bright and early Monday morning.
Look forward to it as always, guys. Have a great day.
You're the man. There's Andrew DeCecco on the Comcast Business Hotline.
Oh, the check-in's going to be great.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be wide awake, though.
He might not have gone to bed,
He
for all I know.
He texts me at least one day a week, if not two, before 6:15 a.m.
That's unbelievable.
I have no idea what he is. Vampire? No, the vampire would be sleeping.
Oh, he's the Dan Campbell of not coaches, of media members.
Could be. It's very well.
All right. So coming up next, we'll reset the show. Also, our second opinion segment. Brendan, this is your first time doing the second opinion. Because Connor's out. We got to do the second opinion on a Monday because the Eagles played on Thursday. We reacted to the game Friday. And now the second opinion is many, many days removed. Sometimes you do that. Sometimes you don't do things back to back.
Absolutely.
It is Kincade and Salciunas.
Because you don't want to worry.
Can I call it a Victory Monday even though they played on Thursday?
Yeah, it's still Victory Monday.
It's a Victory Monday.
Thursday,
right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Preparing to head out west. I'm Brendan Gunnan. This update is brought to you by AAA Car Care. Save $40 on any repair of $150 or more at AAA Car Care Centers. Offer valid through November 30th. Details at AAA.com/mycar. Yes, the Eagles are gearing up to head out west this coming Sunday to take on the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football. They look to improve their win streak to 7 in a row, and they look to keep pace in the NFC with the leading Detroit Lions. Of course, the Rams are going to be no easy feat as they're heading into Sunday's game, winners out of 4 of their last 5. It's going to be a tough game, but things just feel right with this Eagles team lately. Dave Zangaro of NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the best show ever on Friday, and he said this team is starting to get that special feeling that they had a couple years ago.
Even when they were winning games last year, the vibe was off with that football team. And this year, it feels right. And I know that's something that Nick Sirianni cares about. He always talks about it. You know, the best teams are the ones that are most connected. This team has that feel to it right now.
As for the other teams in the city, we have a busy night tonight. The Sixers are going to be in Miami to take on the Heat, and they look to get their third win of the season. Unfortunately, not enough. Though they're going to be without Joel Embiid, who's questionable tonight with an illness. Tip-off is at 7:30, and we'll have complete coverage of that game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. And the Flyers look to notch their 4th win in a row when they host the Colorado Avalanche tonight down at the Wells Fargo Center. Puck drops at 7 for that game. Our sister station, WMMR, will have the call. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the 76ers and the Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Now is the time to become a Fanatic MVP. Go right now to 975thefanatic.com/MVP and make...
Tunis 97.5, The Fanatic. We'll get to your texts coming up in a little bit on all of our topics today. But something that we normally do on a Tuesday following an Eagles Sunday game, but victory most of the time this year, we do our second opinion segment. So can you tell us a little bit about the great people at CMOH, Johnny?
I love them very, very much. They gave me my life back, which is this is the consultants in medical oncology and hematology. 3 great locations, and they will lead you through the process. Trust them. Their entire staff is great.
All right, B-Gun, hit it.
You might not always agree with what you hear. Sometimes you need a second opinion. Brought to you by the consultants in medical oncology and hematology.
So we do this segment to kind of break down something that we may not have talked about the day after the game, because there's usually a lot going on, and sometimes we miss a thing or two. So the Eagles win 26-18 against the Commanders. That happened on Thursday. The thing that I take away, it was good to see Dallas Goedert back out there. I know that Grant Calcaterra did a good job while Goedert was out. Dallas Goedert still helps the run game a lot. And look at what Barkley runs for 146 yards. Gainwell, 4 carries, 43 yards. You saw Dallas Goedert make a lot of impact blocks upfield, which is something that Calcaterra doesn't have.
He does not.
He does not have that. And so Dallas Goedert, even though a lot of us can say, hey, offensively, did you really miss a beat in the passing game from Goedert to Calcaterra? No, you didn't. But do you miss a beat in the ground game and what he's able to do, blocking at the line of scrimmage or finding a block in the second level? You do, and that's something that we obviously won't talk about the day after a football game when there's so many other different things. But he had a good game. 5 catches, 61 yards, and also did a great job blocking. And it was good to see him again because I know he came back for the Cowboys game.
Mine was an Eagles intrusive thought.
Uh-oh.
And it was that the amount of youngsters that are being counted on to support what they've got cooking and how they have going on. I'm trusting that Vic Fangio knows what he's doing. And I think he's, I was very positive on his hiring and everything. They're going to have to watch snap counts on some of these young players that have never played this much football in their lives. We're talking about guys. Now, secondary guys, we talked about that. It's not as big an issue. But when I see Jalen Carter play every single
100%
of a game, though I'm glad to see it. Jordan Davis is playing a perfect amount that he's still being highly impactful. But I've never seen Jordan Davis do a damn thing after December 1st.
Right.
There are a lot of things that I'm still going to be looking to see about this Eagles team, and it's based on the intrusive thought of, are they getting too much wear and tear?
Now, 2 thoughts to that. First off, I think he does a great job rotating everybody.
I think he does too.
Now you say, well, then why didn't he rotate Jalen Carter? I wonder.
Okay.
You had 10 days until the next game.
Oh, I think that absolutely had
I wonder if that has something to do with it.
I am not questioning Vic Fangio.
Right.
I think Vic Fangio knows exactly what he's doing. I think that helped a lot.
By the way, Bryce Huff, once again, just 21% of the snaps. Let's see. Moro Jomo, defensive tackle, 30%. Milton Williams, 33%. Jordan Davis, 39%. Brandon Graham off the edge, 48%. Nolan Smith, 50%. Josh Sweat, 68%. Just 21% of the snaps.
It's one of the reasons that I do love Vic Fangio, though.
He's not afraid to do it.
Yeah, he didn't give a damn that they went out and invested all in Bryce Huff. He's not going to give some guy who hasn't earned it.
And I truly believe, again, I don't have anything in stone, but I truly believe that in the past, Howie
has done that. Yes, he has done that.
Do you remember when
not even a question?
Do you remember when Jalen Hurts got drafted and he did not dress the first game of the season? And there was like this uproar of how's your second round pick not even dressing? And then all of a sudden he dressed the following week. And then all of a sudden there was a package of plays for him to play in. I wonder if that came upstairs.
Howie listens.
Travis Fulgham having a great season. Oh, but Alshon's getting paid X amount of money. Jason Peters on and off the field 1 million times.
It matters to these guys.
But it doesn't to Vic Fangio.
Not to Vic Fangio.
He does not give a damn.
Vic Fangio, there's a beauty of being in your last job.
Yeah.
And he's in his last job.
Yeah, he's going to say, all right, what, you don't like it? Get rid of me.
Yeah, you want to send Grandpa to the go play golf? He'll play golf. He loves playing golf. Vic Fangio's like a spirit animal for all of us.
Gunnar, what do you got in our second opinion segment?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about the young corners on this team, rightfully so. But that old guy out there, he can still play a little bit too. Darius Slay, I think we should give him some flowers a little bit.
Thank you. Welcome,
we love that.
Welcome to the right side of history.
Dude,
this guy has been good since he came here. All right? Darius Slay has been a great Eagle. No, he's been a great Eagle, John. And all I got to hear is, no, he doesn't have interceptions. And I got to hear about the podcast, which pisses me off just like everybody else. But on the field, Darius Slay has been a staple on one side of the field.
Until you took it to great. No.
He played all 40 coverage snaps out there for the team. Him, along with Quinyon Mitchell, only allowed a 39.6 passer rating out there.
Yep.
And over the last 6 weeks, obviously Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are a huge part of this too. Darius Slay is as well, and they have only allowed one touchdown pass since the bye. And it was Zach Ertz in garbage time.
You know who Darius Slay is? I've been watching this movie a million times with Cooper. Darius Slay is Woody when Buzz comes over.
Yep.
He drops it. I don't want to play with you anymore. Nobody cares about Darius Slay. They're all obsessed with Quinyon and Cooper DeJean, and I totally get it because they're the young bucks that will be here for many years to come. Darius Slay is still getting it done. He's always gotten it done. There was one play in, unfortunately, the Super Bowl that's blinded everybody when it comes to their opinion on Darius Slay.
No, that's not it at all. It's also that he has not been the best of teammates.
Oh, no, I say podcast aside,
No,
but you're
saying
right.
Yeah, but you can't do
I hate it.
Like, as far as
you're right.
When you say a great Eagle, that will always be a bit poisoned well to me because of he's a finger pointer.
That's fine. I hate the podcast. I'm a big Darius Slay fan.
But he's a finger pointer,
you're right.
too.
I can't stand the podcast.
And it doesn't, too. But
whatever. Darius
Slay, you've been kicking some backside, and we appreciate it.
Damn, you're right. All right, tell us more about CMOH, Johnny.
I love these guys.
Today.
The Sprandios are the best. Doc, Big Doc, and then his two sons below him, and their entire team. Their crew is the best at CMOH. I promise you. They were my first opinion, and we went with them. But if they're not your first opinion, make them your second. They'll win your business.
Damn right. All right, Gunnar, what do we have on the text line? Give us a text before we continue our topics today.
Yeah, let me pull one up for you. We got Logan in Wallingford checking in, says, as it sits right now, Jalen Hurts has to be the best quarterback. So in the NFC, he didn't put that. I'm guessing that's what he's talking about in the NFC. In the NFC, so I'll put that stipulation in there. So how can you not have the Eagles as at least in the same tier bracket as the Lions with that in mind?
Jared Goff's had one bad game.
Jared Goff had a terrible game. No, don't say that. That's crazy. We don't know. Jalen Hurts is not the best quarterback in the NFC. He has not proven that.
Now, that could be his playoff picture.
They had 6 points going into the fourth quarter against a Washington team that is not good defensively. They struggled to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars because of a first half that was garbage. Stop it. Look at the total body of work. Yes, he turned it on when he needed to, and that's awesome. Can't do that, though. You're not going to be able to do that against everybody.
Now, I think that text was maybe his opinion.
About what, though?
That he believes Jalen Hurts is better than Jared Goff.
Well, no, that could be.
That could be.
And that may be. Again, I'm not going to argue that could be the case, but this isn't the year to make it.
Yeah.
This is not the year to make it.
Jared Goff has had one bad game all season.
And he had a terrible game. Boy, was it bad.
Actually, two bad. The Tampa Bay game in which they lost. He had a bad game in that one.
He had a terrible game in that one.
But that's two.
Seriously.
It's a 2 bad games.
Stop it.
But I could maybe say that Hurts' upside's higher. I don't know.
No. I absolutely. If you told me that both guys were going to play to their potential, I am absolutely a believer that I would rather have Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
If you told me that both of them were, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you, Texter.
But I don't think they're going to.
So here's the deal. We'll reset the show. We'll get to some more of your text messages. Coming up at 9:10. So we're
very specific.
We'll replay the Ryan Fitzpatrick audio next. But the national media, they swing back and forth all the time with this Eagles team. So we'll play you what Ryan Fitzpatrick had to say Thursday night after the Eagles win. You'll hear that next. And then at 9:10, Colin Cowherd chimed in on the Philadelphia Eagles. And what's going to hold them back? It's Kincade and Salciunas on a Victory Monday, we're calling it, right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
A Birds Insider Update.
football question. Again, Colin Cowherd audio coming your way at 9:10. We'll play Ryan Fitzpatrick after the Eagles win on Thursday night against the Commanders in a few minutes. But it's something that just hit me. So if you watched Around the NFL yesterday.
Okay.
Sam Darnold won a game, and the Vikings are now 8-2. I'm not the biggest believer in that Vikings team, neither are you. But Sam Darnold and the Vikings are 8-2. Geno Smith and the Seahawks are 5-5, went on the road in San Fran and beat the Niners yesterday in an incredible ending to that football game. It was a lot of fun to watch. And I saw somebody, I forget who it was, but somebody put out a tweet like, wow, once Sam Darnold left the Jets, once Geno Smith left the Jets, and look at what's happening with Aaron Rodgers. The Giants are just as a dysfunctional organization as the Jets are.
They're terrible.
Is there any thought in your mind that if Daniel Jones were to leave New York and go somewhere else, that he's a better quarterback than what he is in New York?
Yes.
I say no.
He's better.
I think he stinks.
He absolutely would be better than he is.
So you think a lot of it has to do with the Giants organization?
Yes. I absolutely do. And the talent that they've failed to surround him with.
Okay.
No questions asked. If he goes somewhere else, if he was the Eagles' backup quarterback, I'd feel much better than Kenny Pickett. Much better.
Maybe. Yeah.
Much better.
It'd be kind of like Mariota, right?
Yeah, I don't think he'd be. Well, no, because I don't think Daniel Jones has ever quit on numerous teams.
Well, no,
like
but
Mariota
in terms
did.
of Daniel Jones can move similarly to Jalen Hurts.
No, I got you.
Right?
No, I know what you're saying.
Like you brought a somewhat, I'm not going to say Kenny Pickett's immobile, but like you didn't, like Justin Fields would have made sense in terms of who the quarterback is.
Yes, which is sort of what I always sort of want you to do. When you've got a quarterback,
yeah, you want to mirror.
You want a backup quarterback that when you have him for 2 weeks is going to be able to run the same offense.
Right.
Kenny Pickett ain't running the same offense.
Gunnar, do you think Daniel Jones leaving New York would be better for him?
No, he's going to go somewhere and just rot on the bench like Zach Wilson. I can't see him. Like Trevor Lawrence, if he goes somewhere else, I think he still has a glimmer of hope to achieve something better than he has in Jacksonville.
Well,
Daniel
he's not going
Jones,
anywhere, but he's going to have a third head coach.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. But Daniel Jones is not going anywhere. He's going to be out of the league in like 5 years. He's not going to be in the league anymore.
Well, that's fine. 5 years. I mean,
like he's never going to rebound off this terrible start to his career. The Giants set him up for failure, yes, but he also had Saquon Barkley on that team. He now has Malik Neighbors, and he still couldn't get it done.
All right, one more question. Speaking of out of league.
Yes.
Not the same borough, but Brooklyn.
Love Brooklyn.
Is Ben Simmons in the NBA after this year?
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe a one-year flyer.
Yes. How long did Kwame Brown stay in the league based off expectations and his name, right? Like he was in there for a good 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years.
So Ben had another moment yesterday. Somebody grabs the board, gives it to him on the outlet. He's got a lane, one-on-one. He plants his feet in the paint again.
I saw it after you alerted me to it. It's embarrassing.
Immediately looks to pass. If he's 6'2", all right.
That's different.
He's 6'10", and athletic as can be. Like, that's still real. The athleticism is still real. And he once again pees his pants in the lane and passes it up. The dude's a joke, or at this point, a sad story.
No, he's always been a thief.
Like he's
a thief.
You know what I started seeing yesterday on social media? That people are now starting to feel bad for the guy.
No, don't feel bad.
I don't either, because
is he giving his money back?
There's 40 million reasons why.
Is he giving back the money?
Remember he forced the money back when he held out for the Sixers.
Is he apologizing to people who actually have mental illness that knocks them down? Then
Nope.
As long as the guy's going to continue the charade,
yeah,
there should never be an ounce of sympathy for this dude.
Nah, he's a bad dude.
Bad person.
All right, here's Ryan Fitzpatrick after the game Thursday night when the Eagles won. Not the best review of Jalen Hurts.
Go back to, I just keep thinking about you saying this Eagles team is going to get to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts tonight because they won. His stats look okay. He's been playing great statistically, looks good, passer rating. I walk out of this game with not a ton of confidence there in the way that he's playing right now. Even with A.J. Brown, it just felt like there was a disconnect there tonight. There was some frustration with A.J. We didn't get the ball to Devontae a lot. To me, it seems like if there's a team that gets out and scores, that's going to rear its ugly head at some point.
Yeah. I love the Eagles fans serenading him in the background. I understand where he's coming from.
So do I.
I just don't know how much he's watched of the Eagles this year.
Okay, when you say that, it sounds like a little bit of a put down.
Yes.
I think I think he's probably seen enough. I'm going to trust. He doesn't sound like some analyst that's not prepared.
No, and obviously we know how smart the guy is.
So I believe he's seen enough. And the Eagles have been on national TV a lot.
Okay.
But I get where you're coming from.
But I want to know from the people at 610-632-0975, does anyone have that fear that if the Eagles were to get behind, and behind is not one score. Connor was making the point, well, they were behind against the Commanders. Yeah, one score. We're talking about a legit offense.
Right.
Maybe like Detroit, because that's the team that we're comparing the Eagles to at this point.
A Buffalo.
Or a Buffalo.
Yes.
Do you have that similar feeling that Ryan Fitzpatrick has? So from one national critic to another, Colin Cowherd, you'll hear this coming up at 9:10.
Now, Colin Cowherd, if you want to say unprepared for an Eagles discussion, I'll buy it.
You hear that in about 15 minutes. It's Kincade Salciunas on this Monday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The mini buy is over. I'm Brendan Gunn, and this update is brought to you by Groundworks, your expert for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. Yes, the Eagles are gearing up to head out west this coming Sunday to take on the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football. They look to improve their win streak to 7 in a row, and they look to keep pace with the NFC leading Detroit Lions. Of course, the Rams will be no easy feat as they're heading into Sunday's game, winners out 4 out of their last 5. It's going to be a tough game, but things just feel right with this Eagles team lately. Dave Zangaro of NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the best show ever on Friday, and he said the team is starting to get that special feeling yet again.
Go back to
even when they were winning games last year, the vibe was off with that football team. And this year, it feels right. And I know that's something that Nick Sirianni cares about. He always talks about it. You know, the best teams are the ones that are most connected. This team has that feel to it right now.
As for the other teams in the city, we have a busy night. The Sixers are in Miami to take on the Heat, and they look to get just their 3rd win of the season, though they're going to be without Joel Embiid, who's questionable yet again with an illness. Tip-off's at 7:30, and we'll have complete coverage of that game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. And the Flyers look to notch their 4th win in a row as they host the Colorado Avalanche down at the Wells Fargo Center tonight. Puck drops for that game at 7 p.m. You can hear that on our sister station, WMMR. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Bill Colarulo.
This defense, when you can play like they're playing, and then you come back to offense and you have guys like Saquon and Goddard and Devontae and A.J. Brown.
He has a lot to say about sports in Philadelphia.
This team, they could beat anybody. I mean, this is what we've been saying. There is no reason why fans shouldn't look at this Eagles team and say that they are not true contenders. They can beat anyone. I'm fired up. I had a hard time sleeping because I was so excited last.
Listen to Bill weekdays on the Mike Missanelli Show, 10 a.m. to 2. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Your business needs a network it can count on.
Power's out.
Comcast Business has you covered with Wi-Fi backup to help keep your business up and running, even when your power goes out.
Everybody in the warehouse good?
Lights are out, but the Wi-Fi's up. Let's power on.
It's from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
Break room, you good?
Can't microwave my burrito, but Wi-Fi's fine. Let's power on.
Power on with the leader in connectivity, Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ask about Wi-Fi backup for your business, or get started with reliable internet for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, for a limited time, find out how to get an $800 holiday bonus prepaid card on a qualifying gig bundle. Don't wait. Call or go online today. Ends 12/15/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. EcoBill and autopay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra.
When we see a logo, we think of what it represents. When we think of the logo of our hometown team, we think of an organization built on values and culture. We think of grit and determination and highly skilled players that never give up.
Just like the people of our community. This is our team. When you see this sword and seal, this is your law firm when you need help because of an injury. A law firm built on values, culture, and exceptional service. Grungo Law. We will change the way you think about a personal injury law firm.
Hi, it's Norman Chaikin, also known as Norman the Floorman. We offer the best product at the lowest prices, and that ain't chopped liver.
We all know Philly sports is big business, and we've got you covered. every weekday with the Fanatics Business of Sports reports that are powered by Pico for Business. For information on how your company can save with Pico's incentives, go to pico.com/business.
It is Black Friday all month long at Barlow Buick GMC in Woodbury. Shop their huge selection of vehicles and receive amazing savings like 0% financing on select Hummer EV and Sierra models to well-qualified buyers. Or get a great deal on a Buick, like the first ever Invista or the Encore GX. At Barlow, you'll always receive honest prices and dedicated service from their friendly staff. So visit them in Woodbury or shop online at barlowautogroup.com. Buick, exceptional by design. GMC, we are professional grade.
Hey, Sixer fans, it's Matt Cord for the BetParks app, the official winning partner of your Philadelphia 76ers. When the Sixers win, you win too. Check out the Win for All offer all season long from BetParks and your 76ers. With every 76ers win, you get up to a $76 casino bonus on the BetParks app. Follow the 76ers on social media for the Win for All promo code.
BetParks.com has details. Casino bonus must be wagered. Must be 21 and in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Michigan. Gambling problem. 1-800-GAMBLER.
We are talking sports with you all day, every day. You can call our shows at 610-632-0975. You can text us 610-632-0975. Get in on the conversation. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, powering possibilities. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. This is Kincade and Salciunas, Philadelphia Sports Talk. 97.5 The Fanatic.
It is 9 a.m. on Kincade and Salciunas on this Victory Monday. We're going to still call it a Victory Monday.
Sure it is.
And, of course, is presented by Pierce Phelps, Bryan Heating and Air
Beautiful
Conditioning
day,
Contractors.
too.
It is a beautiful day. Visit
Which is
nopaybryan.com. The sun is up. The sun is shining.
Do you want to know it's like the
Beautiful day.
last day you got to last really, really nice day? Or am I not allowed to tell you that?
Well, because you've lied to me like
Cecily
a couple of times.
Kincade here.
You've always lied to me a few times.
John Kincade Joseph on this one. I'm going to tell you that it's not looking like it's going to be, it's 67 today, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful day. 67 to me is like absolutely perfect. Then it drops to 60. Then it drops into the 50s on Wednesday. Then it drops into the 40s for a few days. Then low 50s for highs. I believe any Indian summer is over. And if that's an inappropriate term, I don't know if it is nowadays how people get offended by everything. I'm sorry. We've always called it Indian summer.
Can I tell you something? I've never heard that term.
I've never heard that term.
Are you serious?
Heard that in my life.
Are you serious?
November 18th, 2024, 9:02 is the first time I've ever heard that term.
Indian summer was when fall is invaded upon by summer-like weather. It's like when you start seeing 80s in the fall.
Okay.
They would call it Indian summer. Have the Indian summer. So there it is.
Gunnar,
maybe we're going to call it Commanders summer.
Yeah, we just call that autumn.
I'll just say whatever you call it. I've never heard it in my life. That's the first time I ever heard it.
That's what they say.
All right, real quick, before we get to our other topics.
Yes.
What time do you guys normally eat Thanksgiving dinner?
2:30.
You're earlier.
Yeah, we're definitely earlier.
I definitely have it at like a 6, like a normal dinner time.
Oh,
but
no, you're later. I'm like a 4 o'clock guy.
Since working here, it's been like 9 p.m.
Well, yeah, because your life has changed.
2:30 or 3 sitting down to eat.
All right, I'm going to suggest you eat at 4:30.
Okay, tell us why.
Jonathan Jones, who covers the NFL for CBS, just kind of put 2 and 2 together. The Cowboys-Giants game on Thanksgiving could be the Cooper Rush versus Tommy DeVito showdown.
Oh, that's terrible.
Eat your Thanksgiving dinner at 4:30. You're not missing anything.
Have the gabagool ready to go.
Why are you worrying about like, to me, if you're Dallas and the Giants, I guess Tommy DeVito is for the tank?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So Drew Lock isn't a better quarterback than Tommy DeVito?
He is better than Tommy
DeVito. Drew Lock
DeVito.
is. especially if the Eagles are leading late in the game. And
Who gets more people in that building, Tommy DeVito or Drew Lock?
That's a good point. The Cutlets, man. Tommy Cutlets.
The tickets are sold.
That's true.
Tickets are sold.
Fine,
So,
who gets more eyes on TV?
I mean, oh my gosh, it's terrible. And we're going to have to deal with this stupid Cutlets crap.
I know, man.
Oh, it's Tommy Cutlets. We've already seen the story. He doesn't belong.
Come on.
He doesn't belong. And if we see the fake little agent guy again,
Oh, yeah, that guy was hilarious.
are we going to have to see him?
Oh, my
trying to be like
God.
an extra from The Sopranos?
That guy was hilarious.
I hated the whole story.
I know. I did.
It was so stupid.
I like.
It
You know
was-
what? No, I liked the first game,
When-
and then
yes,
then it
yes.
became a freaking circus.
Tommy Cutlets.
Tommy Cutlets.
I mean, stop it.
He's doing commercials for
By
Rayo's
the
or
way,
Rao's or whatever the hell that sauce is called. Rayo's.
It's
Thank you.
Rayo's. I've
The
heard-
gravy,
I
man.
hear people
Come
say-
on.
No.
No. You could speak better than this than I can. No good Italian is eating that stuff out of a jar.
See, now I love the Rayo's.
So do I, but I'm not a
do,
good Italian.
but
I'm a
here's the best-
Lithuanian. I don't know culture.
And yes, I'm a bad person because every single time that I go to the Costco in Glen Mills, and they have the Rayo's at great prices, by the way.
Damn right.
You need me to pick you up some. They have the Rayo's at great prices. I take a picture and I say to Mikey Miss, how many jars do you need me to pick up?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I text it to
That's
him.
what I'm saying.
Every single time, like, can I get you a couple? Can I get you a couple jars? And to say that Mike is like, yeah, you can keep that.
Yeah. Boop. Boop. Well, my man AG, the same thing. When this was all going on, I would
man.
text him all the time, like, "Hey, what do you think about this?"
I love that. Guess what? I love it that your mama and you at home can make something
Mamma
great.
mia.
But that doesn't mean
There's no
that
vowel at
you
the end of your name. You can't say that.
That doesn't mean that on a Monday night you can just have some Rayo's.
Yeah.
My aunt Helene, quick story. My aunt Helene Roberts, was not a good cook. Beautiful woman, wonderful woman. Her kids did not like her cooking. My dad is a mailman. When ragu came out, the jars of ragu, they actually had the mailman. You left a jar of ragu on people's front steps. The mailman did. So we had these cases of ragu that were left over at the Drexel Hill Post Office that my dad got to take home. So we brought a case of ragu over to Helene's house because my mom was like, get that out of my house.
Yeah.
She makes her own. When her kids tasted ragu, they thought they had been brought to Italy.
Nuh-uh.
Yes. They were like, this is the best ever. When they ran out and she had to make her own sauce again, they were like, can we have ragu, please?
So what you're saying is the milkman was replaced by the ragu man.
Oh, my gosh. My Uncle Jimmy Roberts was one of my favorite people ever. Ever.
But anyways, yeah, eat your Thanksgiving dinner at 4:30 so that you're
There you go.
not sitting down with the family. Hey, come here, Coop. Let's watch Cooper Rush versus Tommy DeVito.
Well, no,
Go
you're
outta
watching
here.
just to see how crappy the Cowboys are.
That is well,
Tonight we got
the Giants might be even crappier.
I got to tell you, they will not get a minute of my time tonight. I'm not watching Houston, Dallas. Tonight will be a get to bed right after the Flyers and right after the Sixers.
Right after the Sixers with questionable Joel Embiid. Who,
He's got an illness now.
He's got an illness.
For God's sakes.
All right.
I'm just gonna say. Now I know he's playing NBA basketball, but an illness. That I worked through double chemotherapy.
If you had to watch that Sixers team on a nightly basis, you'd be ill too.
I worked through double chemotherapy. I do not want to hear about illness. I'm sorry.
He's
Not unless
questionable
it
with
is
illness.
not unless it's malaria or something that's really, really bad. I don't want to hear about whatever it is. And yes, it's harder to play NBA basketball. But give me a freaking break.
What do you think he thinks about Connor right now?
No, it was good. No, we begged.
There's not many people that say dumber things than Connor.
I don't know.
We begged. No.
Connor's throat hurts. He's home now.
I don't
He's
want
driving
Connor.
back right now.
I don't want Connor getting us sick. So I'm glad to get that out of there.
I know. Just joking.
There's always going to be something. Joel Embiid's incident guy. There's always going to be
I know.
something.
Well, we'll see if he plays. I expect him to play. There's no way he's going to miss tonight's game. There's no way. There's no way he misses tonight's game.
The blind faith you have in Joel Embiid is so charming.
No, dude.
And I tell you, so a part of me admires
It's
it.
not blind faith. Do you know how bad of a look it would be if
Do you
he
think he's
missed-
ever cared about that?
Yes.
You know how? Wait a minute. Whoa.
He has in the
Wait a
past.
minute. Whoa. He was injured in the playoff series. He should have been rehabbing all summer. He should have been resting and getting himself ready for his job. And instead, he did something self-indulgent that is keeping him from being able to do his job. So stop it with you know how bad a look that would be?
I think he does.
This is a bad
he
look.
still cares about what public people are saying about him.
Yeah, too much. But I'm just a troll. Stop it. He's trolled all of us.
You're right.
He's trolled all of us.
I would be shocked if he misses tonight's game, unless it's like a legitimate.
Yeah, but you say a
legitimate
bad
illness.
look. You think? Are you serious?
Yes.
There have been bad looks upon bad looks upon bad looks.
I know. I've lived it.
And but I'm going to say, at times you've defended it. And you've been like the excuse maker for him. You don't use that a lot.
No.
You tend to be a reason guy. You find reasons because you have a kind soul.
If I can bet, they should actually add a will Joel Embiid play tonight prop on FanDuel.
I swear to you.
I will bet, yes, he's playing tonight.
I swear to you, it'd be a terrible look.
You'll be out of money if you bet that on a nightly basis.
How about
Judas.
this? The fact that it's even being like kicked around is like, oh, you've got to be kidding.
He's gonna play tonight. You wait. How good he looks? I don't know. All right. Colin Cowherd, the latest national critic.
Sure.
Even though you have told us that he...
Collins flat out says to his audience, if you ever listen to Colin, he doesn't watch games.
Well,
he's talked about it.
Dwayne Haskins is top 10.
He says, I enjoy...
right.
He enjoys...
He was literally dead.
He enjoys storylines. He enjoys the storylines of sports and everything. He cannot sit through a game. He will tell you that.
Yeah. Well, here he is, despite not watching games, talking about the head coach, not just the head coach, the coaching staff of the Philadelphia Eagles.
The Eagles' story is all talent and sketchy coaching. That's why half to half, quarter to quarter, drive to drive. You don't know what Philadelphia's offense is. Against Dallas last week, coming out of the gate against a terrible team, their first 5 drives, punt, touchdown, interception, punt, fumble. And Dallas is terrible. Eventually, they just out-talent people like last night. And you can do that. Look at their wins. Giants, Jags, Browns, young Washington team. But when they're on script, coaching, game planning, they have 2 offensive touchdowns all year long in the first quarter. First quarter is generally a coaching quarter. That, especially when you have better players. Look at their wins this year. I mean, look at them. Saints, Browns, Giants, Bengals, Jags, Cowboys. And again, Commanders are a young team. They're thin. They're a little beat up. They didn't even target Terry McLaurin once in the first half.
Why is that?
The reality is they're a solid team. They're probably, Commanders are the best average team in the league. They're the best average team. And that may get you in the 7th seed, but this coaching is going to get exposed against a team like a Detroit, a Kansas City, a Baltimore, a Buffalo. You can't, you can't just be a knockout artist in box.
All right, well, first off, I'm not going to say don't care about the AFC, but if we're talking playoffs...
We're not worried about the AFC right now.
Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, I get what he's saying, but that's Super Bowl. You have to get there first.
I'll worry about that when we get there.
So he mentioned Detroit. That's the one team. All right, so the Eagles are now one of 2 teams. It's Eagles and Lions, so Colin's kind of making our point there. There are things that I don't totally disagree with, but because the first quarter point thing is a blemish. It's been only 3 out of 10 games this year
It's
where
it's a constant problem with them.
So I get where Colin's coming from, but there's also nonsense in there.
What's the nonsense?
Oh, the Commanders, they only targeted Terry McLaurin once till the fourth quarter.
Why is that?
Why?
Because Colin didn't watch the game.
Yeah.
That's because Colin didn't watch. Colin couldn't tell you who Quinyon Mitchell is. I assure you, I did his show for 5 years.
Yeah.
When Colin was out, I did his show.
Right.
He is a spectacular guy. Spectacular. He's into sports storylines and things like that. He could not tell you. He could not name you 10 starters on the Eagles. 10. A.J. Brown. He could not name you 12 starters on the Eagles.
Yeah, he knows the main guys.
He knows the main stars. He loves the star storylines. And by the way, he's a magnificent storyteller.
He's incredible, which is why he's
great at it.
Where he's at.
But he's great at finding the storyline that's the controversy. Talking about the Nick Sirianni controversy. That's where he's a master. Talking about games, talking about it. The fact that he says Terry McLaurin, they only threw to him. Yeah, there's a reason.
Yeah, there's a reason why. Quinyon Mitchell was on him. Darius Slay was on him. No matter what side of the field, they were on him.
And that's what annoys me, is the storyline is, Colin, there's a great storyline for you. How about the Eagles with their secondary guys have have two guys that appear to be starter weapons that could compete to go to the Pro Bowl.
Well, it's not like sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man. It doesn't sell.
It doesn't sell. And it's the truth. That's it. It doesn't sell.
And, so when I hear that, there are some points where I go, yeah, they do need to start scoring earlier because I don't want to see them down 14-0. I keep on mentioning the Packers game. They are very, very fortunate that it was 6-0 after those 2 turnovers, and 6-0 meant 2 field goals, not a touchdown and missed extra point. They're very fortunate that they kept that Packers team to 2 field goals when they started deep in Eagles territory.
That Friday night seems like
ages ago,
just a lifetime ago.
But so to Colin's point, yes, he's right there. But am I going to all of a sudden start questioning whether or not this coaching staff, and when I say coaching staff, I don't just mean Nick Sirianni. If he was just talking about Nick Sirianni, all right, I'd have a conversation with you. What Kellen Moore has done since the bye week and what Vic Fangio has done all season long, how can I start questioning this coaching staff as a whole? Now, we know it more than he does. We're living it. We know
exactly.
We know that Vic Fangio is the defensive head coach.
And it's like what you say is Adam Schefter knows the NFL inside and out, knows teams, knows guys, know everything. In and out of every single game, we know more than Adam.
Yeah, he doesn't get the record right, and that's no shade at Adam. He doesn't even know the record sometimes.
But he knows that if there's a story about Howie Roseman, he's actually talked to Howie.
Yeah.
If there's a story
He's
about
the first one
if there's a story about a coach, so there's levels of information that you get that it's better.
Right.
But in that regard, nah.
All right. What do we have on the text line, Gunner? Again, our topics today, Eagles, Lions. Are they the 2 teams in the NFC? We believe so. We also believe that the Lions are in a tier of their own and the Eagles are in the tier below them on their own. No other teams with the Eagles. There are people that have taken exception to us saying that the Eagles should be on the same tier as the Lions. And the Keith Pompey article over the weekend, are the Sixers banged up or bad? You can text in or call on 610-632-0975. Again, tonight's Sixers game, you can hear live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Why are you laughing?
Tip off at 7:30. I'm just giving the nice promotion.
You laughed during it.
What do we have on the text line, Gunner?
Yeah, we got our guy, Brian in Dallas, the Eagles fan from Dallas, Brian.
What's up, Brian?
Checking in. He says, who you play is a factor. I agree with Connor, who said that earlier. I do feel we're a good team, and I believe we are one of the upper echelon teams in the NFC, but I believe our coach makes too many mistakes play calling in our offensive scheme and how he addresses discipline, correcting certain mental errors in games by players. The talent on this team can ball out and bail Sirianni out on a week-to-week basis when you play the Giants, Jags, Bengals, Cowboys, but when you play the upper echelon teams like the Lions in the playoffs, can you get to a Super Bowl?
And what's interesting to our man Brian's point. So I'm with Brian. You beat who's in front of you.
Yeah, you don't hold it against somebody for who they beat.
But do you compare, let's say the Eagles and Lions are almost tied record-wise. The Lions are 9-1, the Eagles are 8-2. The Lions have played and have fared in a more difficult schedule.
I've already told you I believe that they have 5 more quality wins. They have 5 quality wins that are ahead of anything the Eagles have.
So does that add to your opinion that the Lions are the number 1 team? Because that does something for me. I'm not taking away what the Eagles have done.
No. But
the
that
Lions get the higher grade, as we talked about earlier.
That's absolutely what it should be. That's what it should be. I mean, it does take. The Lions have 5 victories that are better than the Eagles' best victory. And that, to me, matters. You got to be honest about it. It matters.
So, let's see. They've beaten the Rams are 500 team.
Well, we haven't beaten the Rams yet.
Right, I'm just looking at
No. Go on.
Lions beat the Packers.
They beat the Packers where? In Green Bay.
In Green Bay.
Okay, we beat the Packers on a neutral field. That's a better victory for the Lions.
Right.
Go
on. Texans they beat. That's a plus 500.
Texans,
500 team.
the Texans are. Remember C.J. Stroud's the next Patrick Mahomes.
Vikings.
Remember that whole conversation?
Vikings plus 500 team. Seahawks are at 500. Cardinals are plus 500 team.
Yeah, exactly.
They lost the Bucks are now under 500, and then of course all the other games, Jags, Cowboys, Titans are under 500 teams, but they have won more quality games.
It's not even close.
And that's why we have them in a tier above the Eagles, but we have the Eagles on their own tier just below the Lions.
Yeah, it's weird. And it's fair, and you're not knocking
There's
anything.
people that are upset by it. So what do we got on the text line?
It's crazy.
We'll see. Maybe they'll explain it.
All right, so I was going to go Sixers. I'll find another Eagles one for you real quick.
No, you do whatever.
All right. We got nothing but a John saying, I rarely am that yell at the sky, get off my lawn kind of guy. But with Embiid, he's pushing me in that direction. His fragile demeanor and playing on a week-to-week basis at this point is driving me insane. I can't stand him anymore.
Oh, can't stand him anymore. That's a bit emotional, but I know that there are a lot of people that have been wanting to see change. Now, the cynic in me says get used to it because they did extend him to a 5-year contract. Whether you or his contract is now 5 years, they extended it by 3 years. Whether you agree with the decision or not, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, they made sure of that.
He's not going anywhere.
Made sure of that one for us.
So you just gotta hope.
And then listen to like how
I'm being up by it, dude.
You're what I think you're being also is you're being very fair when you say it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta hope. That's terrible.
No, it's horrible.
When you're when you have to go, well, we gotta hope that things turn around. Hope's not a strategy, folks.
No,
it's not. It's not.
Unfortunately, it's
not. But keep doubling down on it, though. Keep doubling down on it.
And look, I understand where somebody comes from and says, well, if Maxey, George, and Embiid are all healthy come playoff time, I like them in a playoff series.
Oh, jeez.
I still fear the Boston Celtics, as anyone should. I would like to avoid them as long as possible.
Well, you're not going to avoid them. You're going to get them early.
Yeah.
Or you're going to get Cleveland early, who is heads and shoulders above you. Seriously.
All right. Coming up next, we discuss more of our topics. I'm beating up, dude.
I like it.
This is probably the most emotional I've been with the Sixers since I can't think of when. But I'm pretty beaten up by it. All right, coming up next, not only do we continue our topics, I do want to look ahead a little bit.
Okay.
Because we got a long week now until the Eagles play this past Thursday. I want to look at the schedule for the Eagles and do W's and L's with you, John. I'm kidding. But I want to look at it because we talked about strength of schedule and all that kind of stuff. We'll look at the Eagles' schedule the rest of the way. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Headed straight west. I'm Brendan Gunn, and this update is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with their easy-to-go, use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. Yes, the Eagles are gearing up to head out west this coming Sunday to take on the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football. They look to improve their win streak to 7 in a row, all after the bye, and they look to keep pace with the NFC-leading Detroit Lions. Of course, the Rams are going to be no easy feat this Sunday, as they are winners of 4 of their last 5, so it's going to be a tough game, but that Eagles team is starting to get that feeling again. And Dave Zangaro from NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the best show ever on Friday, and he said just as much.
Even when they were winning games last year, the vibe was off with that football team. And this year, it feels right. And I know that's something that Nick Sirianni cares about. He always talks about it. The best teams are the ones that are most connected. This team has that feel to it right now.
As for the other teams in the city, we have a busy night. The Sixers are down in Miami to take on the Heat. They look to get just their 3rd win of the season, though. They're going to be without, possibly, Joel Embiid again, who's questionable with an illness. Tip-off's at 7:30 tonight, and we'll have the complete coverage of that game right here on The Fanatic. And the Flyers, they look to notch their 4th win in a row when they host the Colorado Avalanche tonight down at the Wells Fargo Center. Puck drops at 7 for that game. Our sister station, WMMR, is going to have the call. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the 76ers and the Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Matvey Michkov.
Back into the corner to Michkov, side of the net. He scores! Matvey Michkov from an impossible angle beats Hallmark, who slams the stick across the goalpost, and Philadelphia wins it in OT.
6:30 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We'll check our text line and get some calls in a second. But just real quick, let's look ahead for the Eagles. So I asked you a couple weeks ago, where will we be waking up on December 1st, which will be the day of the Eagles-Ravens game?
Sure.
And we, I think, all said 3-1. This was before the Jags game. 3-1 is the minimum.
I thought 3-1 going into the bye. No, I didn't think they could be 4-0. I honestly didn't.
And
I said 3-1.
They're 3-0 right now. Now,
Right.
obviously, Dak got hurt after we asked that question.
Correct, and that's what changed. I thought they would lose either at Dallas or at the Rams.
Right.
At Dallas or at the Rams.
And
So
so
there
you
is.
handled your business against the Cowboys. You handled your business against the Commanders, which was a big game, too.
That's a huge win.
And so now it's the Rams game. And so worst is 8-3. They could be 9-2 come Eagles-Ravens when we wake up December 1st.
They could be. And
Now-
if you watched the Ravens yesterday.
Yes, that's what I kind of wanted to get into.
Yeah, I mean, are you shaking in your boots to play the Ravens?
Always kind of a little bit, but
they had to go to the last second to beat. They went toe-to-toe with Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's gotten trucked by some teams, like Washington, like Philly.
Now, that defense did stand up yesterday against the Steelers, but I still don't know if Russell Wilson is Jalen Hurts with
How about
A.J.
that
Brown,
offense?
Devontae Smith.
How about that offense?
Well, that's the thing. Now, Pittsburgh's defense is ridiculous. They're really freaking good, but so is the Eagles' defense.
The Eagles' defense is hanging with them.
So you got.
I'm serious with you. I'm asking you that question. Are you shaking in your boots to play the Ravens? I mean, I'm not. I think it's a coin flip whether they win against the Ravens.
I think it's going to be tough in Baltimore. I think that's
going to be hard.
That's a big added part to it. But you got Rams, Ravens, which are difficult games. Rams are playing better recently. Panthers, you should just walk all over them. Then it's the Steelers. And then Commanders. The Steelers, if you remember before the season started, we were kind of like,
No, I picked them to have their first losing season.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I said they'd be 8-9 this year.
That's not happening.
completely missed the boat on that one.
They are. Was that
They're
win
not-
number
they're
8
8-2.
yesterday? So they're 8-2. So
I picked
unless
them to
there's
be-
a
so unless they
7-game
lose.
losing streak.
Well, Nick Sirianni says, "Hold my beer."
That's right. That did happen.
It could happen.
But
Something
so
like that.
the Eagles now all of a sudden, as we've learned more as the season's gone on, like it looked like that Rams game was going to be easy a couple weeks ago. Now all of a sudden it may be a little bit more difficult because they got Nakua and Cup back.
I watched yesterday, and I'm like, the Eagles should beat the Rams.
They should.
I mean,
beat
the Eagles should beat the Rams.
because you have Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean and
Right.
everybody
They should
on
beat
that
the
defense.
More importantly, you should put up enough points.
But if
be able to win it.
if I say Rams, Ravens, Panthers, Steelers, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants,
12 wins is a guarantee. Guarantee. 13 wins is the most likely outcome.
so 4-3 would get you to 12 wins.
That is a guarantee. I wish, and I did do the one flyer, thankfully on the over. I did the over 10.5, which was a Bet Parks preseason. Then I upped it to 11.5, placed that bet, and then I took $10 and put it on 12.5. And I'm glad I did because I think I'm going to cash. I think I will cash all three, except if the Giants game means nothing.
So let me ask you something.
Yes.
Because we don't know if the Giants game will mean nothing. So if I just
It
said
could.
Panthers, Cowboys, Giants, that's 3 of your 4 wins.
Panthers, Cowboys, Giants. Yes.
You said 4-3.
Yes. 4-3 is a guarantee. They're winning. They will win. If you said to me Rams, Ravens, if you said Rams, Ravens, Steelers, Commanders, they're 2-2.
So that's what I was about to ask.
Minimum 2-2.
Well, that's if the
Their
Giants
minimum
game doesn't matter.
They're minimum
Okay.
2-2. That's
I would
like
feel
it
good
is.
about. I would feel good about that. Now, obviously, I would like to win the Commanders game.
Any
because-
13, a 12 or 13 win season. I'm feeling good about any time.
Well, I was going to get to the point though. If they went 3-0 against Panthers, Cowboys, Giants, that means they would go 1-3. If you said 4-3 down this last 7 games, if they went 1-3 against the Rams, Ravens, Steelers, Commanders, are we having the
Yes, I'm worried about that.
Yeah.
No, if you say they go 1-3 versus Rams, Ravens, Steelers, Commanders, they are not winning the Super Bowl. They're not a real team that you can say they're winning the Super Bowl.
Now, I don't believe that will be the case.
I don't believe it will be the case either. I go 2-2 is the floor. 3-1 is my Almost 3-1's almost my expectation.
I love that.
I watched the Steelers yesterday. The Eagles are beating the Steelers.
Well, then it could be 6-1 down the stretch.
No, the Eagles are beating the Steelers. I'm not.
They could win 14 games, is what you're saying.
They could. The Ravens game is one that's going to be a. It's going to be a bitch.
It's going to be tough. Yeah.
The Giants game at the end of the year, I don't think is going to mean anything because if Detroit takes care of their business, the Eagles could be like, well, we're the 2 seed. Because right now you're 2.5 games up on the Falcons. They have 3 losses, but you can't finish tied with them. So you got 2.5 game lead on them. The Cardinals, I don't see them I don't see the Cardinals being a 12-win team. So as long as you get to 12, you're the 2 seed.
Yeah, you're the 2 seed,
which is great because I don't see the Commanders getting to 12.
Where are the Packers sitting right now, though? The 2 seed might be a scary game if the Packers win their game.
Well, right now you'd be playing the Commanders.
Yeah, if the season ends today, you're playing the Commanders.
Which is good. I'm hoping Minnesota, which is what I still expect, Minnesota will drop down and Minnesota will be the 7 seed. The Eagles will play Minnesota.
Which could very well happen.
And I'd love that game.
The Packers are a game back of the Vikings. Commanders have 2 more losses.
The wild card team is more scary than the divisional winners outside of the North than us.
You want me to give you something that's going to make you both smile this morning?
I like
because
smiling.
I'm tired of that woman that tried to tell us this morning to worry more.
Oh yeah, if you guys just tuned in, there's a recent study that says you should worry 5 minutes a day.
Let me tell you that you shouldn't. Whoever that, it's nonsense. Here's what I'm going to give you. How about this scenario? Eagles get the 2 seed. They play the Minnesota Vikings in their first playoff game.
All right.
They win, guaranteeing themselves a divisional playoff game that they host.
Do we do
home.
the Hurts?
Oh, no, we
Hurts?
do. We do the.
Nice. 3 out of the 4 Super Bowl appearances, you beat the Vikings along the way.
That's true.
You beat the Vikings as the thing. The next week, what if the Arizona Cardinals were rolling in here or the Atlanta Falcons?
You're feeling good about both.
That's what the road right now looks like. You'd be saying to yourself, NFC title game, I'm working. I've been telling you have a
January
job that
26th, baby.
That's the road right now. Beat a team like the Commanders or the Vikings, and then the next week beat a team either the Cardinals or the Falcons.
I don't know, though. Are the Cardinals or the Falcons beating the Commanders or the Packers in that case? One of the wild card teams beat one of the division winners?
Right now, it would be Cardinals would host the Packers. Would you like? I think the Cardinals would beat the Packers in Arizona.
You think so?
Yes,
I don't want to get off track, but I don't think that.
Falcons, Vikings, right now as it stands. This is what I'm saying to you. I watch this thing play out. I think we're going to be looking at the 2 seed almost being that's a great path.
Well, that'd be nice.
That'd be nice.
All right, what do we got on the text line there, Gunner?
Yeah, we got Taji checking in.
Hello, what's up, Taj?
He wants to see something, he says.
Okay.
So he wants me to ask you a question. Are the 49ers a good team? Are the 49ers a bad team or a team that is just hurt?
They're a team that's just hurt.
Just hurt. Because as I've said,
they haven't had McCaffrey for how many games?
Yeah, they just got him back last week.
Deebo Samuel being out there is huge.
Yeah, George Kittle, they just lost Bosa.
I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to do the Sixers thing.
He's trying to get you.
Here's the difference. The Sixers have no pedigree.
Yeah, I was about to say
the Sixers have no pedigree. The 49ers have arguably the top pedigree of the last 5 years in the NFC.
Which is why I always look at them until they're officially dead.
So you can't play that game. The Sixers have no pedigree.
Yeah.
They win. They go. I heard Best Show Ever last week, which I adore. I listen every day. I heard them argue the Sixers have made the playoffs 7 straight years. You can freaking break wind in front of the commissioner and you get a playoff berth. It's nothing to make the playoffs in the NBA. Who the hell cares that you made the playoffs 7 straight years? And then it's like, well, did you get out of the first round, which is like the Mickey Mouse round? No. Even some year you didn't do that. So stop with they made the playoffs 7 straight years. It's not an accomplishment.
Yeah, there's no gotcha there. The 49ers have literally been in the Super Bowl the NFC Championship game each of the last 3 years.
They're right there, and 4 of the last 5.
Yeah. So there's,
come on now.
There's a little bit different.
And 2 Super Bowls.
We appreciate the text, Taj.
Thank you, Taj.
A little bit different there. Let's sneak in Mark on the cell. What's up, Mark?
Hey, gentlemen. Good morning.
What are you up to, Mark?
I mean, I've been stewing about the Sixers thing probably since the season started, even before that, because you knew he wasn't going to play. I think it's just such a slap in the face, not even just by the Sixers, but even Joel Embiid himself. And I think it's just ridiculous. I don't know if he thinks we're dumb or what, but him not playing and the excuses and not being in shape, like you're a professional athlete, you have the resources to keep yourself in shape all year round. Look what some of these guys do that win all the time. What do? They maintain their health. They maintain staying in shape. They have that drive. And you complain, they don't win, and we don't get out of the second round or the first round or whatever the heck it is. It's BS.
It is absolute BS. It's absolute BS. And you know what he should have been doing? You know it, Mark.
Yeah.
What should he have been doing this summer?
He should have been resting, taking care of himself, getting in shape.
That's it. Bottom line. That's what it should have been.
Yeah,
and he has the resources to do all three.
Mark, we appreciate the call, brother. I mean, I didn't want him to play in the Olympics.
You didn't. And by the way, you're a huge Embiid fan, but you didn't want that to happen. Yeah. And that's why I can take your opinions on Embiid.
I'm also an Embiid.
More.
I'm an Embiid Sixers fan.
Exactly. I root for the laundry.
Yeah.
I am a Sixers fan. And I hated it. And I ended up being right.
He'll play tonight.
Oh, that's great.
He doesn't get the Miami flu because he's not a partier. Not anymore.
Wait, do they have room service? Is there a Krispy Kreme? They have Krispy Kreme in Miami.
I don't know.
Empanadas.
I like an empanada.
Maybe he's over at the Big Pink having breakfast this morning, which is the best place in Miami to have breakfast.
Well, then you wouldn't blame him. All right, coming up next, it's the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show. We'll get to that next on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson.
The reason I don't respect kickers and punters is because the hardest part about football is the fact that
9:48 on a Victory Monday morning. Even though they played on Thursday, we're still calling it a Victory Monday morning. It's been a lot of fun today. Our man Connor Thomas officially out tomorrow. The injury
we
report.
sent him home today.
Yeah, Joel Embiid is listed as questionable for tonight with an illness. Connor Thomas has already been downgraded to out.
Wow, we're transparent around here. Who would have thought?
Yeah, how about that? Connor Thomas is out. Brendan Gunn, he's elevated to producer tomorrow. So, we wish Connor feeling better tomorrow. All right, it is time now for the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. 3 best minutes from today's show, brought to us by Von C. Brewing.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
Johnny, happy new week.
Yeah, new week. It's Rams week. Doesn't hold the same energy. A Monday morning is usually our 3-foot putt.
Yeah.
It's the easiest day of the week.
I'll be honest, I didn't mind my Friday being a 3-foot putt, if I'm being honest with you. I got to skate into the weekend, man.
That wasn't bad either.
It's really a two-team race. It is the Detroit Lions. It is the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, you should show some respect to some of the other teams, but they're in the tier below the Eagles. But I will say this in the same breath, John.
Going to be bold? What are you going to say?
The Lions are on their own tier. They're steps ahead of the Eagles.
I agree with you. I'm not 100%, but absolutely agree with you.
Can anything happen in a one-week playoff? Absolutely. I'm not saying...
There's no question.
I'm not saying at 6:05 this morning that there's no shot the Eagles get to the Super Bowl. But what I'm telling you at 6:05 this morning on November the 18th, the Detroit Lions are on their own class. You know how we do the Patrick Mahomes thing and we say, he's on his own thing, stop comparing him to Patrick Mahomes? The Detroit Lions are on tier 1. The Eagles are on tier 2.
Okay.
The other teams we mentioned are on tier 3. The Sixers did not win again this weekend. They are now 2-10 on the season.
So we can take the top 1 and 2 seeds off.
Yes, yeah, I would say those aren't going to be.
Because I can't remember these October and November games don't matter.
Yeah, I don't think that's
as people tell us. Yes, they don't.
You're
matter.
just a couple games back of the Magic or the 3 seed.
Yeah, sure we are. I look at it as this way: the Lions, to me, look like their consistency is something that the Eagles have just not matched.
Yeah.
And to me, when I see that, would you say comparable talent?
Yeah, I would say comparable talent, yes.
The two teams?
I think the Eagles have a better wide receiving core, right?
Well,
with
I think
Devontae and AJ.
Yeah, I think there is a comparable talent between the two teams.
The lines are very similar, offensive lines on both teams.
They both love to run.
Better running back is here. Better committee's there, but better running back
Better committee is there.
Yeah.
Better running back is here. They love to run the ball, though. I put it to the head coach. Dan Campbell does a much better job of having his team consistently ready to play on a weekly basis than Nick Sirianni.
There are a lot of people, John, that were okay with this idea of, hey, take it easy, just get to the playoffs.
Yes.
Seeding doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
If Joel Embiid only ends up playing 35 to 40 games this year, then your first excuse if they lose in the first or second round of the playoffs will be that they didn't have enough time to gel. And that's why Keith Pompey mentions the continuity, which I will say this, John, I still believe is one of the biggest reasons why they are struggling even with Joel Embiid back, because they haven't had a chance to play with one another. But that's not an excuse. It's like they did this to themselves. This Joel Embiid ramp-up period, they did this to themselves.
At least we know we get Embiid back tonight. And, wait a minute. He may have an illness.
Yeah.
I swear to you.
He's questionable,
I
John.
swear to you. They honestly, they might as well set up the face painting and the red noses, because this is a joke. It's a freaking joke. An illness now? Now we got an illness? I hope you all, I swear to you, I hope every last one of you that said, I'm so glad he played the Olympics. I'm so happy for him. I hope you watch the damn Olympics on loop. I hope you sit there this entire season and watch the Olympics on loop and go, boy, I'm so glad that our star player didn't rehab an injury, didn't take off, didn't keep the main thing, and went and played in the Olympics.
Johnny Hurts.
I swear to you, it's so freaking annoying. I can't even formulate a sentence without being pissed off.
John, there's really only 2 teams in the NFC.
It's the way it looks. I look at it as you're looking at it that way. There's 2 teams left. I looked at it yesterday at dinner and I said to Christina, I said, the Eagles are going to have 2 home playoff games.
Yes.
Whether they're going to have 2 home playoff games to make it to the Super Bowl or 2 home playoff games and then 1 more game to navigate to get to the Super Bowl. I don't know what that equation
game, of course,
is.
would be in Detroit.
I don't know what that equation is, that's the only place it would be. If not, it would be 3 home playoff games. So there's going to be football in South Philly. I think it's pretty much known. But I still look at the NFC and just say, how can it be this lopsided?
All right, that's the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. 3 best minutes from today's show brought to us by Von C. Brewing Company in Norristown. Check out the OG Pills Legendary Philly Lager, which is a gold medal winner at the 2023 World Beer Cup for the best American Pilsner. Family recipe since the 1860s. The Walking on Clouds, Von C's flagship hazy IPA. And what else do we got, German John?
Let's go to Vienna. They have the Vienna Lager. It's a 2-time Best of Pennsylvania winner, and it's got all German ingredients. That's the key word, ingredients.
Check them out, VonCBrewing.com.
In Norristown, which is just like Vienna.
A couple things. Shout out to our man Eli, 8th grader from Germantown Academy, who's been hanging out with us today.
Eli wanting to do our job one day.
And as I said to you, John, I'm amazed. I was not a go-getter when I was in 8th grade or in high school. I know you said that you were. So
Eli's not 8th grade, though. No, later than that.
Okay, well,
but Eli's a go-getter.
He's already here shadowing, so that was really cool.
That's Germantown Academy, too.
Yeah, a little bit different than some of the public schools in South Jersey. And also, speaking of young bucks, so I did that Penn St. Joe's knockout.
Okay, you did.
Tournament. The winner was 11-year-old Nace. Now, you asked me when we golfed the other day, was it rigged? I had a couple people asking me on social media, was that rigged? This kid's got the purest form I've ever seen.
Okay, who's he playing for?
Nobody. Hockey player.
Okay, Nace.
Play
Gotta
basketball.
play some hoops, too.
Just try it. Just try
and
it.
Save mom and dad around $3 or $4 grand a year.
That's the first thing I said to his pop.
That's what I'd say.
I know.
Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partner, H&H Heating and Air Conditioning, and make a donation today to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives.
All right, everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll be back at it tomorrow on a Tuesday morning. It is the Mike Missanelli Show coming your way next with Bill Colarulo and Ray Dunn. Everybody have a great one. Talk to you tomorrow right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.